Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to episode 93 of the Dirt Life Show. I am so glad that you guys could join us tonight. I'm your host, George Hamill, and tonight we have an awesome show for you guys. It's going to be really cool because we have some education, some racing, some new product development, all kinds of fun stuff. So tonight we have XTravel Suspension as our featured guest, and one of their racers, Holden. How do you say your last name, dude? It's so hard to pronounce.
Yeah, it's pretty long. It's pronounced Heitritter.
Heitritter?
Yep.
Okay, I was going to say Heitritter, but Heitritter.
Yeah,
and then
close.
we got your buddy Tanner, your co-driver in the studio as well.
Yep.
So Holden and Tanner also did the DP4 race over the past weekend, man. I can't even believe that these guys were out there braving the elements, man. It was probably, 169 degrees out there or what?
Yeah, definitely. It was hot. I think the high during the day was like 115, and then when we were racing, it only cooled down to like 93, 94, so it's terrible. It's
Dude, that's so nice. And plus, that means it's like, who knows how hot in the car, 140 probably?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was a hot one.
Dude, I can only imagine. So we're going to talk a little bit about the DP4 race today. That's going to be super fun, but we're also going to talk a little bit about your sponsor, XTravel, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'll be cool. We have a couple really fun guests that are going to be calling in. We have Doug Mittag going to be calling in around 5:30. He's going to hang out with us for a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about how it feels to drive one of these XTravel cars with the XTravel suspension. Just basically give us his professional feedback on how these cars operate and what the upgrades are when you put these suspension kits or suspension components on your actual vehicle. So it'll be nice to talk with him about it. Mitch Guthrie Jr., he's going to be calling in around 6:15 as well. It'll be cool to talk with him because he's got a little bit more experience with it in a more rocky environment like at King of the Hammers. So, man, it's going to be really, really awesome to see these new innovations and technologies in the UTV industry. We're all proponents of progressing the industry and making it go forward. Holden here is a prime example of that. He's using it in the beginning stages of his professional racing, so it'll be really cool to get an understanding of what these components actually do on these vehicles. We are at IMG Motorsports. Thank you very much to James, John, Whiskey, everybody for letting us utilize this bay that they work on all these badass race cars in. So it's really cool that they let us do the show here. So we want to thank them for being able to bring you guys basically this shop talk and this garage talk that we do here. So thank you very much to those guys. We have a new thing. We have so much appreciation for all of you guys that have joined us on the show. We've been getting so much growth these past 6 months that we want to give back to you guys. So we actually set up a sponsorship deals page on the dirtlifeshow.com. So you can go and get any deals from any of our sponsors. You can get the guys over at Shock Therapy. They have a code DIRTLIFE. You can go to this sponsor deals page on the dirtlifeshow.com, click on their link, and use that code, save a whole bunch of money on any of the products that they offer, steering racks, revalves, suspension kits, everything that they offer. You can also go over to dirtlifeshow.com/sponsor deals and get deals on stuff from Zollinger Racing Products. Those guys have such amazing products, man. They make amazing tie rods. You can probably see a little bit in the background here. We got a Can-Am X3 side cover that's all billet machined on a 6-axis. It's so cool, man. The Zollinger Racing guys are just elevating the game just like XTravel is as well. So you can just check it out. They have, we want to say thank you to KMC. KMC is one of our biggest sponsors. I think they're actually supporting you guys too. You got some grenades on this thing, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or actually, what are those wheels?
I think they're walkers, right?
No, they're KMCs.
Yeah, what style of wheels are those? Because those things look rad, dude.
Yeah, they're sick.
But yeah, so thank you to the guys over at KMC Wheels for sponsoring the show. You guys are badass, man. Thank you to Ryan and Ryan over there. The guys at EFX Tires as well. And the last couple sponsors we got Cryo Heat, and they're doing all kinds of cool stuff, man. They do metal treatment for Pro Mod transmissions for Turbo XPs, and Josh is doing next level stuff, man. Everything that we talk about on this show today is pretty much just next level with the XTravel guys, Cryo Heat, everybody. So thank you as well to the guys over at Solderweld. You can go to solderweld.com or the sponsor deals page on thedirtlifeshow.com and save a whole bunch of money using that code as well. Yeah, man, I just can't thank you guys enough for watching the show. You guys are what drives us, man. So all you guys on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well, everybody, you guys have been making the show get that much better, so we really appreciate it. So, like I said, we got Holden here, Tanner, his co-driver, and we're going to bring up, after the commercial break, we're going to bring up Nestor Berardi. He's basically the developer, the inventor of all this XTravel stuff. You guys may know James Woodford. He's part of the XTravel, I don't know, what do you want to call it, board of directors, managers? He's one of the main dudes. So James was one of the guys that helped us set up the show, so we really appreciate James. He's actually on a plane right now. So if you're listening to this at a later time, James, thank you very much for being such a crucial part of getting the show set up. And one of the other team members that couldn't make it today, John Lemke, the CEO of XTravel, we really appreciate all those guys putting in all the effort that they do. To be this innovative in an industry that needs innovation is nothing to be shy about, man. It's really cool that these guys are bringing these new products to market. So, like I said, thank you very much for everybody watching. You can always check us out anytime you want in the archives, on iTunes, on Spotify, Pandora, every single place, man. Amazon, everywhere. So go check us out anytime. You guys have been a huge part of our growth. We've been getting so many more audio downloads, so thank you guys very, very much. We're going to try as much as we can to answer all of your guys' comments and questions tonight. I know that when Nestor gets up here, you guys are just going to bombard him with questions once we start showing you guys some of this suspension. But I think what we should do first is just get into it, man, and talk about how this stuff is developed in a racing environment and how it feels to go out racing these cars in 169-degree weather.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it, dude. How was your guys' weekend?
Overall, the race went great. We got a good start. We started second in class and 20th overall, I think, out of 60 cars.
Jesus,
and
really?
Right off the start, we just started picking off cars. I think we got our first pass, mile 2 or 3, and that put us in the lead in our class at that point, and we just
Can you give us a little bit of the understanding of how the terrain was set up there? Like, was it dusty? Was it super hot? Like, give us a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah, so the track was it was a little mix of everything. The beginning, there was really like soft dirt, sandy, but then there was some like rock sections. There's this mile 2. There's this big uphill to a big like rocky slow downhill that you really had to watch out because you didn't want to brake early on during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was dry then.
Yeah, really dry.
Yeah, and so that means a lot of dust then, because
Yeah,
the car actually looks pretty mint. This is the car that you raced, right?
Yeah, it was.
And it looks almost cherry, dude. Like you could spray it off and just be ready for the next race.
Yeah, it was pretty dusty, but the car didn't get that much dirty.
It looks like you guys built a really good car too.
Yeah, definitely. XTravel provided us with an amazing car.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the XTravel stuff here in a little bit. But like I said, we want to get a little bit of a backstory. So what do you feel like the race was like for you, Tanner, sitting in the passenger seat?
It was good. It was definitely dusty. There's a little bit of wind in some sections, but there's a little bit of canyon-y where the dust just kind of settled. And when the dust settled, it was pretty deep and you couldn't really see very good. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
So how do you guys like handle that? I always wonder, because Dustin Battleaxe Jones had the best answer. He's like, whenever I see dust, I have landmarks.
Yeah.
And I can just see them, and I know, like, especially in a lap race, where your positions are and where you're going to be able to hit the brakes and stuff. But how do you guys like calculate how far you're going to see or go fast through the dust?
Yeah, so this race was a night race. So what I'd try looking for is their rear lights, and if you're close to them, you can see where they're going and see where they're moving to tell if there's like a turn, or if they like dip down, then there's a big whoop or something there.
And DP4 is pretty good about putting the reflectors on bushes that you're able to see pretty decent through the dust, actually.
Look at this professional co-driver over here. He knows all the secrets, right?
Yeah.
So how has it been working together?
We worked amazing together. We've done, I think, over thousands of miles of races together, and we've just worked perfect.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles, huh?
Yeah, we've done
So you've been at it for a little while then, huh? Maybe you can give us a little bit of your backstory. So I know that you've grew up racing a little bit of trophy karts in the Lucas series, but maybe kind of just give us an understanding of your racing agility or ability now.
Yeah, so I started off in Junior 1 kart and Lucas Off-Road. Started moving my way through the ranks, Junior 1, Junior 2, then I eventually got to mod car, and that's what I'm racing right now. And then I started getting into UTV racing, desert racing, and I just got hooked. I just wanted to do so many races and then after that, I got a sprint car and just want to be more well-rounded of a driver. Sprint car definitely helps you feel the dirt out a lot better. You get to know like where you have traction, where you don't. So
it's
that just makes
crazy,
you a better
right?
driver for
Like, so
sure.
everybody thinks like, oh, you're just going in a circle. Like, that's weak, right? But I actually got to teach some younger UTV drivers how to drive a UTV in both differences. Like, we're going to talk about this 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive on a sprint car track in the UTVs. And it was really phenomenal to see, first of all, how terrible they were at the beginning, and then how amazing they were at the end, because it was such a big learning curve just being able to see them manage the throttle.
Yeah, for sure. Throttle control is a big part in racing.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to say you can't learn that in the desert, but it's way harder to learn it on a circle track, right? And how much horsepower are you using on these sprint cars?
I think they have around 200 horsepower,
Okay,
but they're
so-
pretty light. So
Yeah, so it can like spin out or peel out really
yeah,
easy.
very easy. Like we race at Verona Speedway, and that track you don't really want to go full speed because you can, one, roost the tires off and just make the tires go bald, and then two, you can get really slick. It'll get slick, and you can get really loose and spin out.
Those tires are super sticky then?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that type of racing, Tanner?
I have not. No.
Have you gone out with him?
What, in the sprint car?
Yeah, to go help and
Yeah.
be
oh,
part of
yeah.
the pit crew and
Yep,
stuff?
Yep. I work on all of his stuff.
How's that? Is it pretty fun?
Yeah. Sprint car is really cool because you can see and it's just good racing.
Yeah, because you don't have to see him just pass by for 3 seconds
Yeah.
and 200
Well,
miles.
out here, I'm in the car with him. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we already had a couple comments coming in. Desert Whip says, I raced a DP4 night race before. They are no joke, yeah. But visibility isn't too bad with the course markers. So it's kind of like what you were saying then,
Yeah.
Tanner, huh?
No, they're really good at putting reflectors and the pink ribbon on the bushes, so you can see. And in the dust, like I said, it's pretty easy to see them in the dust.
Yeah, and I've actually heard a lot of good stuff, positive things about the DP4 series.
Yeah, the DP4 series is really good.
You into it too?
Yeah, it's like a nice little series, not too big, but there's a lot of fast guys out there, and they make the course very well marked. They run it really good, and they're just a bunch of great guys out there.
What class did you race this vehicle in?
I raced in the Production 1000. I think it was the biggest class out there in that race. There's 20 cars.
Dude, that's crazy, man. I love seeing those big turnouts. Yeah, Jeffrey Ricker says DP4 was hot, 111 at the start, so I can only imagine how hot it was inside the car, man,
Yeah.
especially in your fire suit and all that. That's just crazy, right? Nick Farmer, what's up, man? How are you? Drew Garcia, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, probably 12 cars broke on the first lap is what he said. Is that about right?
Yeah, there was a car, I think it was a 4-seater that broke. It didn't even make it to mile 2.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude's just getting hot super
That's-
quick or what?
Yeah.
I think the first probably 3 miles, it was like rocky uphill, and I think he might have clipped something and broke it.
Dude, that's crazy. Tanner, make sure the mic is pretty close to you. Yeah, so that's nuts. There's so many people who do, like, you know this actually, Holden, is from coming from short course racing, is you really got to, like, pull yourself back when you're in the desert, because on a short course track, it's like MMA with wheels, right? Like, you just go
Yeah.
balls to the wall, like, you're just banging each other, and the intensity is, like, 110% right off the get-go. But in the desert, it's like you got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, desert, there's a longer race, so you have a lot more time to make up ground, and it's really a lot about surviving and taking care of the car, getting to the finish.
Is Tanner able to help you with that stuff pretty good?
Yeah,
or?
for sure. Sometimes I'll see a car and I'll be like wanting to push towards it, and Tanner remind me like, it's dusty, it's rocky, you maybe want to slow down so I don't make a mistake and hit a rock or
we
something.
got a lot of miles left.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tanner, is he trying to go all like hot boy, like on with the gas?
The
Like,
first lap of this race, we were pushing hard, and I mean, it's just everyone's so close on the start that we just kept catching people, and he just wanted to keep picking them off. But I slowed him down a little bit, but we still set a good first lap. And
dude, that like mesh of like slow down, speed up kind of thing. I always think it's so cool when there's a good co-driver and a good driver in the seat. It's real. So you guys have like a plan for the next couple of years, to, like with your guys' abilities to be able to do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to just keep racing together and hopefully move up classes into bigger stuff.
God, that's so cool, man. I think it's going to be awesome to see you guys grow. So John actually commented, and he said, it was 80s and sunny up at ERX this weekend. So we're going to talk with Doug Mittag a little bit and talk to him about some of the ERX stuff that he did. Have you seen that short course track?
Yeah, that short course track's really cool. It has
Oh, you've been there?
I haven't been there, but I watch a lot of the races there, and it's got this like 2-lane rhythm section that can cause like a lot of
Yeah.
chaos, and a lot of passes go down there.
Dude, and they got
Sure.
that median or whatever in the middle, and people keep knocking into it.
Yeah, and then people will like switch lanes and try to make passes with that. It's pretty.
I feel like that's so slow, though. Have you seen the course, Tanner?
Yeah, I have. I saw some of the wrecks on that split right there.
Whenever
too.
I saw that, like, so everybody talks about Crandon being like the baddest track in the world, right? I'm like, dude, I kind of feel like ERX has a little bit, like, the track is a little bit better. Like, it looks so sick.
Yeah, Crandon, I mean, there's a lot of fans there. There's a lot of room for fans, and the track is really fast. But I feel like ERX has a lot of more like obstacles and challenges to face.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. So, Richard HPR Harding says DP4 is a great race series. Oh, and he says he knows you guys, too.
Yeah, we know Richard, yeah.
Right on. Who is Richard? Maybe you can give us a little background so he can get a shout out.
Yeah, so he works for HPR SoCal. He does all our radio stuff. He's a great guy. He helps us with everything.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Richard, for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Jeffrey Ricker said lap 2, race mile 18 is where we were done. Oh, man. So you guys did – how many laps was it?
I think it was 5 laps. We got 5 laps.
Oh, dude. So he barely got in it, man. That sucks. Yeah, and John says ERX was great racing. So we really appreciate all you guys commenting in. So maybe you guys could throw out some specific comments. Holden is also insanely fast at iRacing. So we actually have a couple people, some of my buddies do iRacing.
Yeah,
you know who Ethan Ebert is?
Yeah, he's actually my teammate on iRacing.
Yeah, there
Him
you go.
and Luke Knupp. They're
Yeah.
my teammates on iRacing.
Oh, so you're one of the top dogs then.
Yeah, me and Luke, we've been probably playing iRacing for 2-3 years.
You do iRacing too, Tanner,
I
or
do
no?
not do iRacing. No.
Dude, it's so hard.
I need to, but
I don't know how you guys. Well, how badass is your sim?
Yeah, it's I got a Fanatec wheel and stuff, and it's pretty nice.
Oh, so you're dialed then.
Yeah, I'm dialed in.
Dude, so Ethan let me try his setup, and I was terrible. Like, terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I could drive a regular race car, like, decent, but, like, oh, my God, I was so horrible in the iRacing. It's crazy how, like, touchy it is.
Yeah, it's really, the wheel is really sensitive, and a lot of the trucks and cars they have in there, it takes a lot to drive them.
Hey, now that I think about it, I can actually fly a helicopter better than I can do iRacing. I got to drive a helicopter or fly a helicopter with the shock therapy guys one time, and it was way easier than iRacing. So you'd probably be a fantastic helicopter pilot too.
Give that a try.
Test it out. See what Dad has to say about that first, right?
I don't know if he'll like that. Yeah.
no.
So when do you get your driver's license?
2 years. I'm 14 right now.
So you got 2 more years?
Yeah, I got 2 more years till I get my
So
driver's
maybe
license.
that's a goal. Like try to fly a helicopter before you get your driver's license.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
Dude, how would it be going like co-pilot or even taking the wheel in a helicopter?
I don't know. Helicopters scare me a little bit, so.
Really?
Yeah, I've never.
You're not a
ridden-
big heights guy?
No, I don't mind heights, but I've never ridden a helicopter, and
Dude, they're fun.
yeah, they scare me a little bit.
I think they're cool. Yeah, so, well, thank you guys. Like I said, oh, wow. So we already got Johnny Cultura chiming in. So, Johnny, we were looking forward to having you on the show in a couple of months here. Thank you for chiming in. Was Johnny out at the race, do you know?
I don't think he was out at this
Not this
DP4
one?
race.
I think
no.
he's probably getting ready for Vegas to Reno.
Yeah, he's probably getting ready for Vegas to Reno. That's going to be a long, hot race.
So he sent in a pretty cool comment saying that he wants some XTravel. So I think Johnny should probably get some information, maybe send over some questions, and see how it is that how it is how it feels when you guys drive the XTravel shocks and suspension on the actual race course.
Yeah, for sure.
So all right, so give us a little bit of a breakdown. So you start the race, you're kind of picking people off, and what's the strategy?
So the first lap, we kind of wanted to take it easy, but then we just kept catching people, and so we just had to go for it. And we ended up setting the 4th fastest lap for the first lap. But we were actually in 2-wheel drive, and we didn't know that till halfway through lap 1.
Dude, I'm looking at the co-driver over
Yeah.
here. Like, isn't he supposed to check that?
Well, I asked him if it felt weird, and he said it kind of felt weird, and the dash light said it was off, but we were going so good that we were going to wait till we got to a point where we could switch it, so.
Yeah, exactly. We had Drake Mittag comment in. Doug's going to join in, I think, about maybe 10 minutes or so, 5:30. I think 7:30 his time over there. I don't know, 2 hours ahead. I think he's going to Wisconsin right now. So we're going to try to see if we can get him on. He also said he was driving, so we're going to see if his cell phone service is good enough to have this Instagram live. So we'll try him in about 10 minutes or so here. All right, so keep us kind of in the race seat. So what was Tanner thinking like at the time? Maybe you can answer this, Tanner, is like all right, we're picking these dudes off. Do we have too fast of a pace? Are we going pretty good?
It felt comfortable, honestly. The car handled really good. So
Even though you're in two-wheel?
Yep. The car was still really good. So it was really in the dust that we would slow down a little bit just because we didn't want to get outside and clip a rock. I mean, it's your first lap, and they don't give you a course map. So you're out there on the first lap kind of blind, just looking for markers.
So now that we know that you guys were in two-wheel drive, and I'm sure you switched it to 4 at some point.
Yeah, when we came into the pit, going out to lap 2, we switched it to 4-wheel drive.
All right, so I'm going to ask a follow-up question, but how did the XTravel stuff feel in two-wheel drive on a race course?
And honestly, it felt like a rally car. Like, you're able to throw it in and just, like, maneuver it so easily.
And the steering still felt good,
Yeah.
and like, because it's totally different when you're driving in four-wheel drive, right?
Yeah, definitely different.
So when you were driving out there in two-wheel drive, how was it soaking up the bumps and the front suspension doing when you were going through rough stuff, high-speed stuff, slower stuff?
It was handling it, honestly, the same as it would in 4-wheel drive. We're going through the big stuff just as fast.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I know that, like, depending on what car you drive, I've test drove pretty much every car. Yamahas especially, when you have them in four-wheel drive, it's very notchy. Like, the steering feels very notchy. It feels very pulley. Like, it's almost like 60% in the front and 40% in the back kind of thing, right? Like, so it's not even.
Mm-hmm.
And a Polaris is a little easier because the way they have the magnetic front differential. But how was it when you started driving after the pit in four-wheel drive with the suspension? Could you feel a difference?
Yeah, in 4-wheel drive, you could definitely tell the front pulling more, and you could kind of hold the bottom of the corners a lot better. But suspension handled the same as 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So that tells a lot about the resistance and the level of steering ability, right? Because it means that the tires aren't towing out, they're not picking up, they're not grabbing things and moving out of the way, and there's less feedback, right?
Yeah.
So that overall helped a lot, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure, it helped a lot.
Man, that's super cool. I would love to be able to do it. One of these days, I'm going to have to try to see if I can get a test ride with some of this XTravel stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty cool, man. We'll have to ask Nestor, see if he'll let me. All right, so you get to the first pit. Was anything wrong with the car, or was the car doing good?
No, the car was running good. To the, about halfway through the second lap, we started getting a slow leak in the left front, and we had to pull over and change that, and that's where we lost our lead in our class.
Oh, okay. So then you moved back to second? Is that what it was, or what?
No, I think we moved back to probably around 6 in class because, like, 6 people passed us.
How long were you in the pits, do you know?
Oh, we actually changed it out there in the field in the race course.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happened right after the pit or before?
About halfway through lap 1, or lap 2.
Dude, that sucks. So how long were you guys out there on the side of the course?
I don't know. It was probably like a 10-minute tire change.
Oh, so it was a pretty decent.
Yeah, it went decently fast. It wasn't nothing major wrong.
Well, you actually ended up losing your phone.
Yeah, I lost my phone, and
oh crap.
Yeah, normally I slide it in the little pocket, but I left it in my driving suit pocket. Yeah, when I got out, it slid out, and luckily it slid in between the door and just sat right on the bottom of the
so you lost your phone for the race, but you found it later?
I found it right after the race.
Dude, that's dialed.
I remembered the mile marker we were at, though. I was going back there after
So we got a couple comments coming in, but I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. So I used to race professionally for Yamaha in the Lucas Short Course Series, and one weekend, right as we got out on course, like we were doing practice, I think it was on Friday or something, like you get a little qualifying practice or whatever, my keys fell out of my pocket into the tray of the car. All weekend, I couldn't find my keys. Go back and tear the car down. They fell out of the skid plate in the driveway in Arizona.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, like, so I totally feel you on the phone thing because I was stressing. I was like, how the hell are we going to get home? Like, we're in California. We got to go all the way back to Arizona. Crazy how, and so when you got out of the car, were you like, dude, where is it? And then you found it?
Well, yeah, I was about halfway through the tire change, and all of a sudden, like, I felt my pocket, and I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot to put my phone in the door pocket, and it was in my driving suit pocket. So then I got done with the tire change. I just did one lap around the car, didn't see it, so I hopped back in, and we kept going, and I was going to go back and look for it after the race.
But you found it in the car?
I found it after the race.
That's so dialed. Oh, yeah, what's the next race for you guys? Because John asked if Vegas to Reno, if you guys are going to do that race.
Yeah, we're actually teaming up with Luke Knupp and racing Vegas to Reno on their trophy light.
Dude, really?
Yeah.
How sweet's that going to be? Are you going to be able to go too, Tanner?
Yep. I'll be navigating for him on that one.
Dude, that's badass, man. So, well, how do you get those opportunities? Because I know a lot of our listeners either don't race or would like to race or do race, and most of these guys want to understand how they can keep upgrading their level or getting rides in other people's cars. So how did you guys get the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, so I've been racing with Luke ever since like I first got into short course, and we raced junior ones together. We've known each other, been good friends for probably 5-6 years, and so he asked me if he wanted to race, and I said, of course. I said, yeah, I'm not going to turn down a chance to race, so
yeah,
we teamed up. Yeah,
that's so cool. And the iRacing probably doesn't hurt either, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So Jeffrey Ricker commented in and said, wow, I got beat by a 14-year-old. So depressed. That's all right, Jeff. That means that his future is bright, dude. So we really appreciate you being letting us know the truth, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like Vegas to Reno is the next race for these boys. Do you plan on doing anything in the meantime? Or just prepping with that?
Just prepping, yeah. Luke's completely tore down the car after the last Legacy race and just put it
Hey,
back
look
together.
who comments in it right here. Luke Knupp says, are you
Luke.
ready for Vegas to Reno?
Yeah, definitely. We're ready, Luke. We're going to go out there and win.
Dude, so Luke and Ethan both been on the show before, too. They were a riot to get on. I don't know. Have you ever met Ethan's sister? Bella?
Yeah, Bella, yeah.
Yeah, she choked him out on the show.
Yeah.
Both of them. She had them both in the headlock, dude. It was hilarious.
They probably deserved it.
Yeah. Well, they were talking trash about it the whole show. So they definitely deserved it. Jeff Knupp just chimed in and said, super team, Luke Knupp and Holden. Let's see here. Yeah, and then Richard Harding says, the future is next to you. Yeah, these kids are smoking. So I want to see them race. I haven't got the opportunity to see them race yet, but I heard a lot about what their abilities were before the show, so it'll be cool to see what these guys do, and I'm going to pay attention to Luke and the whole team when they go up to Vegas to Reno. So we had some more comments come over on YouTube as well. It looks like Maisie, I think that's how you say her name. She said, yeah, Holden, with a bunch of exclamations. Taylor Jenkins says, go Holden and Tanner, woohoo. Let's see here. Connor Strode, I think you say. Holden rips. And then Team Berardi. Oh, no, Tian Berardi. Holden, you rock, bud. Tanner is awesome co-driver, a smart young man. Hey, so who has the higher IQ?
Oh, I don't know. I've never had an IQ test.
You guys got to do that, man. So I heard something like online the other day that people have ways of cheating the IQ test. I tried it, and I'm like going to be the stupidest person on the planet because I couldn't do it, man.
Still going to get it by cheating?
No, not even close, dude. There's no hacks for me in the IQ test. Yep, 14-year-old GOAT. So thanks, Maisie, for commenting in. It sounds like she went over from YouTube to Facebook. So like I said before, guys, if the Instagram Live isn't feeling it, or if you're not feeling it over there, we also have Facebook and YouTube. You guys can go over there. It's the full production. It's got commercials. We got all the audio and everything in there. You guys are welcome to check that out at any time. And you can also, if you guys have to bail out, go to dinner, go with your friends or whatever, you can hit us up on iTunes later as well. So, all right, so you're picking dudes off. I don't know what you want to say. I hate when people say you're like holding a medium or slow pace because I feel like that's not giving it your all.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' vibe in the car?
Yeah, so we're obviously trying to conserve the car because it was early on in the race. Didn't want to break. Wanted to make sure we get to the finish. So we're keeping
like 80%? Like you're going 90%?
Yeah, around like 80-85%. Not going like full race like pace. But yeah.
And how are you feeling about it, Tanner?
Yeah, we were running a really good pace actually, and he didn't. After we had our problem in the pit, our second flat, and had a problem in the pits getting that tire changed, that's when when we lost quite a few positions in there, he really picked up, and that was on lap 3.
Yeah.
So going into lap 4. So lap 4 we.
And if you did 5 laps, so where were you at midway in the race then on lap 3 then?
I think we were around 15th on that
15th, yeah.
Well, so you guys did lose a lot of time then.
Yeah.
And so if you're being the racer that you are, what were the things that you could do better next time to knock flats, to help save the car? Could you drive smoother? Could you avoid things, see better?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say I pushed a lot in the dust, and I clipped a rock, and that's what gave me a second flat. So definitely got to be more conservative in the dust and be more careful.
Yeah. And what about you, Tanner?
I don't know. It was a good race, so I'm happy with the way it went.
Yeah, and I mean, flats are sometimes unavoidable, right?
Yeah,
but every time a good racer and a good co-driver comes back, you always have things that you can do better, right?
Yeah.
Shoot, I wish we didn't do this, or we could have done this better. So if you're not saying those things on the way home, then you're not doing your job.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's always things that we can improve on, but I'm very happy we only have maybe 10 test miles in the car before this race, so to go out there and especially on that first lap to throw down a fourth fastest time, it's really happy.
Dude, that's badass, man.
Thank
Good
you.
job. So this car's pretty new then. I thought you guys had driven it a couple times.
No, we only got about 10 test miles out in Johnson Valley before this race.
Really?
Yeah.
And so how did you feel the car performed overall? Well, what were you had before this then?
I had a 2C 20. It was an old Razor, 2014 Polaris Razor like NA car.
Was it clapped out?
Oh yeah, it was super clapped out.
And this one's so much better or
yeah,
what?
but I feel like it taught me a lot, like conserving the car and just getting it to the finish. Because that car you can't go like all out the 100%. You just
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
calm down and take it easy.
So back in the day, my dad used to tell me if you couldn't start it, you couldn't ride it, and that's kind of the same thing I'm hearing now. Like, you obviously you can start it because you have a key to start it, but if you're gonna break it, then you got to fix it, right? Like that same type of thing. So he gives you the beater, and you have to go learn in that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we put a lot of test miles in that beater car, and it taught Holden a lot and really showed in this last race.
That's cool, man, and especially coming from trophy carts because those things you can just like mob so hard.
Oh yeah, you can destroy those things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's such a short race, and you just are 100%, 110% all the time in that.
So I always wonder, like, how do you get into trophy carts? You just see them one day, like
Yeah. So my family and some friends, we used to go to Lake Elsinore when the Luke Solo was having some races out there, and I saw the carts race, and I was like, I wonder how old those kids are. And me and my dad went walking the pits, and we saw they're like my age. And so we started looking for one, and we actually bought Ricky G's car.
Nice. That's cool. And Ricky G, actually lives right near where we both live, actually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, man. And did you see how good he did this weekend? I think he got a
He
podium.
killed it. I think he got
Either third or fourth, right?
I think he might have got 2 podiums.
Dude.
2/3.
Scoring for the Temecula boys,
Yeah,
dude.
doing good.
That's pretty cool. And so when you were walking around the pits before you got your first mod cart, were you like, Dad, come on? Like pulling on his shorts, like, come on, give me one of these, Dad.
Yeah, I was begging him for a car for sure.
That's cool, man. I always think it's so rad to see how people get into it. Like, I had no idea what off-road racing was. I knew about dirt bikes and stuff, and then I got invited by Casey Curry to go check one out, and I went and checked it out, and I was like, holy crap, dude, this is like motocross with cars.
Yeah, it's insane. It's just carnage and battles, a bunch of...
It's super cool. And as I grow into it and I understand a little bit more about the off-road scene, the thing that interests me the most now, being a washed-up media guy, is the evolution and the technology, just like what you got to test this weekend with the XTravel stuff. So, all right, let's keep going through the race, and then I want to get like Tarantino it and go backwards and start talking about some of the XTravel stuff. So, third lap, fourth lap, you guys are feeling pretty good. Do you work past like 15th, or like where are you at there?
Yeah, so we were running 15th. We knew we had to push a lot if we wanted to get a podium or a win. And so fourth, fifth lap, we just really charged hard. The course was getting really worn out. The chatter bumps were terrible. So our insides were hurting sometimes. But
were you just shaking the whole
time?
time?
Yeah, shaking the whole time. The berms were really blown out. There's some like sandy, rocky uphill, and it was just hard to get up sometimes. You know?
Were you like just so stoked that you weren't driving the beater in that though?
Oh yeah, that would have been so much worse if we were in the old car.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, so let's see here. Richard HPR Harding says Holden's dad Kevin is 100% in, and that's one thing that we always talk about on the Dirt Life show is family and support mechanisms, because if you didn't have your dad, if you didn't have Tanner, if you didn't have, your family, I don't know if your mom, if you have sisters, whatever, but everybody is all in, right? Like you have to have a good support mechanism to be successful.
Yeah, that's what I really love about racing is it's just a family sport. Everyone goes out there, supports you, gives it all. Yeah.
The camaraderie is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
We talk to Lindsay Geyser a lot too, and she says, whenever we go on vacation, it's like we're going to the Baja and we're going to the races all together. Like that's her vacation, right?
Yeah.
She loves it. So it's super cool to see that. Let's see here. Jason Wagstaff, I think it is. The whole team is top notch. You know Jason?
Yeah, we know Jason. I've known him for a long time.
Yeah, and John Huppert's actually he said that sounds like the field must have been close together. How close were the top 5? Well, actually, so you were working towards the top 5 at the time, right?
Yeah, we were far out of the top 5. Fourth and fifth lap.
Were you getting info from the team as to where you guys were at in position and how close everybody was?
Yeah, the trackers were down for a little bit, so they couldn't tell us like everything, but they'll tell us, yeah, you're 10th, you're like 7th, and you're making up time, yeah.
Could they tell you how far the gaps were?
No.
No, they just told us what place we're in, and we had to just make it from there.
How is it shooting blind, so to speak, Tanner? Like when you're in the car and you're hearing that stuff, you're like, Well, we don't really know how fast we got to go. How do you gauge the driver at that point?
Just Holden's really good at kind of feeling the car and knowing terrain and being able to just push the car to what he believes limits are, and he brought the car back.
Yeah,
so,
to not have the car expire.
Yeah, and I've honestly never, in all the miles we've had a moment where I was really scared or thought that we were going to have a big problem.
Okay, that's cool. So looks like we can get Doug Mittag on here in just a little bit. Doug, we're going to actually send you an invite real quick right here, buddy. It'll be cool to see what Doug says actually about this XTravel stuff too. So we'll probably we'll talk about your race in just a little bit more. Actually, when we talk to Doug, we'll kind of get your guys' gauge on everything too. Doug, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're doing awesome over here, bud. How are you? You driving over to Wisconsin, I hear.
Yeah, I just left the races at ARX. It was a pretty wild weekend, but you have to excuse my service if I lose you guys. It's I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if I can flip this thing around.
Oh, nice, dude.
And that's about it. So I got to see a little bit of your guys' show so far. How'd you like the car, Holden?
Yeah, the car handled really good out of the box. I was honestly just surprised how well like it tracks through the corners and through the whoops. It's just really easy to like maneuver, switch lines and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I noticed is it steers good all the way through the corner. Never has really any pushes, and how easy it is to steer was kind of nice on a long race.
Hey, so Doug, Holden was actually telling us that they mistakenly had it in two-wheel drive for a lot of the beginning of portion of the race or the first lap, and then they put it in four-wheel drive and obviously picked up the pace. But he said even the front suspension and the front wheels, he couldn't almost feel hardly any difference with the front suspension the way it was in those two different modes. Like, that's pretty crazy to me to hear that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like feedback, which in my big trucks when I race them with the power steering that we have, you don't feel much, I mean, it's nice because you're driving a big old truck and you can't tell that you just slammed a rut or something like that, and it doesn't rip out of your hand. You're not breaking your fingers, and that's the biggest difference that all my UTVs prior I would notice is like they're lightweight and electric power steering isn't that great. So you hit something, it might rip out of your hand, and people break fingers all the time in UTVs. So that was the biggest thing I noticed. That was it made it way more similar to my big trucks in the steering alone.
Yeah, that's super cool. I noticed that a lot too, because all I did was Nestor let me actually pull it off, kind of off the trailer in the parking lot and drive it around. And even when we had the car turned off, I could turn the wheel no problem. Like, it was super easy. So the geometry and stuff, I'm really interested to see when he gives us a little bit more of an explanation. I'm really, really pumped to try it out one of these days.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty wild. And Nestor's explained it to me a little bit, but it's some rocket scientist stuff. So I don't quite understand everything, but he's got a lot of cool ideas, and I know he's messed with some of the performance features, but I think there's a lot that he can still do. And the biggest thing for me is just how strong it is. Like, the UTVs are, like I said earlier, are built really lightweight, so you always worry about ripping the racks out of them and ripping the front end off. But I mean, I put that car behind you guys to the test in that race that I did, the Silver State, and never had an issue. So I thought that was really cool. The only thing I had a problem with was I had a tire like Holden, and then I blew two belts, I think. So 2 or 3, I don't even remember. It was a lot. But yeah, I don't know. Did you guys work on the belt system at all on that thing before your race, or did you have any issue?
No, we didn't really do anything to the belts. We surprisingly had no belt problems considering how hot it was. It's 95 and no belt problems. The belt stayed really cool, and yeah. That's super cool.
Well, maybe I need to work on my throttle.
Hey, Doug, what are you doing wrong over there, buddy? So I know that Nestor's going to come on here and he's going to talk a little bit more about the way that the actual system works. But how does it feel? Let's let Doug answer first, Holden, and then you can tell us what's the main difference that you feel with the XTravel system compared to a stock one pivot system?
Like I said, just the steering, like the being easy to steer, and I think how he gets rid of like the wheel scrub and stuff, and the way he does the geometry, I think it makes it steer better throughout the whole corner. It never has a push. I think that the way that he cures all those problems that a normal steering system you can't cure all the way, it really, I think it helps out a lot.
Yeah, we could tell when we were just sitting there, like in the parking lot, just turning the steering wheel. The way that the wheels steer is you get a lot more steer out of it, especially out of the outer wheel. You can see it pivot a lot more, so it looks like it would corner a lot better and be able to, in short course at least, be able to set you up because you can whip the wheel over quicker. I don't know if Doug can hear us.
I kind of lost you there for a second.
Yeah, no worries. Well, what do you think about that same statement, Holden?
Yeah, with like all the other steering front ends, you'll be going through like a whooped out corner and the steering wheel will start like ripping out of your hands and it'll start hard to steer.
Pushing back on you?
Yeah, and with this, you can just point the steering wheel and it'll just go.
So we're talking about it like in a racing format here, but like let's talk about it like in a Glamis format or in like going down Sand Highway or something. Maybe you can relate to some of the enthusiast listeners that we have. If you were prepared to go down Sand Highway in a normal single pivot system compared to the XTravel system, what would be the difference that you would feel going down those whoops?
So obviously you'd feel the wheels start jerking and the car would get like upset in the front end, and with this it's just straight and not really like, it's easy to control.
So a lot less feedback in the steering wheel?
Yeah, for sure.
Would you agree with that, Doug?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that for, a daily like UTV consumer, like going to Glamis and Akatia, it's a lot safer. You're not going to go through a witch's eye and it's not going to rip out of your hand and you're going to roll as easy. It's not going to do any of that kind of stuff. You're not going to hit a whoop section with a hole in it, and it's not going to lose control of your vehicle. Like you can maintain control and it'll maintain like your rack life is going to be way longer. It's not going to wear out all your parts as much. I think that's some of the biggest things for me. Like I'm going to get a set on my personal razor. I know the demand's pretty high right now. They're selling kits quicker than we can make them, but as soon as I get one on there, I'm not going to have to worry about my rack blowing out or ball joints or all the normal stuff that breaks on you when you're out in the middle of the desert and you got to worry about getting back to your camp.
Yeah, I agree with that. And when I felt it, just like I said, in the parking lot, it feels like it would unload a lot more of that pressure and not give it through the steering wheel. So I can agree with that. I'm going to definitely try to take it out one of these days and have some fun with it. And so we had a couple people comment in saying, how's the torque steer? Do you know what that is?
No, I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. So maybe we'll leave that question for Nestor if he knows what torque steer is. But, so a bunch of people said hi as well to say hi to you, Doug. I know that you're driving down the road, so we don't want you to have to look at the comments. We'll try to answer them as much for you.
I saw Mitch said hi, Joe.
Yeah.
My brother's on there. The Bailey boys are on there. I know I'm not supposed to be texting and driving, but it's kind of hard sometimes.
Especially when it's all your homies, right? And I love how Mitchy spells your name too. He just loses the O and just puts Doug.
Yeah, most of my friends spell it that way.
Carson's on here too. It looks like Carson was out testing a new Cowie too, so that was pretty cool. So with the XTravel stuff in an enthusiast platform, how do you think it would handle like sending it over some jumps, Doug? Because I know that you do some pretty big senders.
Yeah, we actually got to test the car at my parents' property where we have some 120-foot jumps. We didn't take it off because we had a race coming up, but we plan on taking that car hopefully to send it off some jumps as long as Holden's all right with it.
Yeah, for sure, that'd be cool.
You just got to get some Instabangers for it, or what? Nice, that'll be perfect.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No. I to talk about what you were talking about earlier. Like I got to drive the car in the desert on some fire roads and stuff, and it's performed awesome. I'd love to get it on a short course track, just because, like I was saying, Nestor kind of told me some of the things that you can do with it that you can't do with a normal, single pivot steer. I think that would be like super beneficial. I'd like to get it on my Pro 4 if possible.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, man. And right from the start, just seeing the way that the geometry moves on the wheels, like I was thinking how easy, and like riding a YXZ in short course for 3 years, 4 years, I knew that my front wheels, if I could get that outer wheel to turn in a little bit more, I would have been able to like just shave a ton of time off my corner speed. So to see that you could actually push it in that hard and flick it would be such a huge benefit in my opinion.
Yeah. And also the guy, whoever asked about the torque steer, it actually has none. I was pretty surprised. Like when I first saw how it worked, just looking at it, in the parking lot when Nestor was showing me, it was like, I was worried about that, but it doesn't have any, which is pretty surprising. Torque steer is basically when your wheels are steered and you get on the gas and it wants to straighten itself out. Like it wants to rip the wheel out of your hand and go straight on you. Kind of like what the Yamahas kind of do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I always complained about. There was like I would say 2 or 3 times every race season I would come back and my finger would just be like dislocated. I would just be like, gosh dang, man, this sucks. And that's exactly what I was feeling.
Yeah, it's when you're in 4-wheel drive and the axles are kind of trying to straighten themselves.
Sweet Prince Alex, he asked who was the one that drove the XTravel at King of the Hammers. There was a couple drivers, actually, Alex. There was Mitch Guthrie Jr., Casey Curry, and Nestor might be able to name off a couple more people, but some pretty big names have actually done the XTravel stuff, like Doug obviously tested it out, Bryce Menzies tested it out, so there's a lot of guys that are very, very interested in the technology and the setup, so it's pretty cool to see that the UTVs are getting that much innovation and drive forward in what's going to happen with them in the next few years here. Hey, Doug, so I wanted to know, because I saw a little bit of the snippets online. How was ERX this weekend?
It was wild. I kind of ate me up, to be honest. First day, I lost a motor in qualifying. I actually got 1 lap in, so we qualified 4th out of 10 trucks, I think, with 10 or 12 trucks, I don't remember, but which we were pretty surprised with. And then we got a new motor in there. We worked until 4 a.m. getting the truck ready. Got it out there just in time for the race the second day. And we got the new motor in there. We put the same spark plugs that we always run in, but we didn't even think about it just because we're rushed, that the spark plugs were just that much longer and they were actually getting hit by the piston and closing the spark off. So we were running on 6 cylinders out there on Friday's race, which was crazy. And then we got it figured out for the Saturday race, and we were running quick. We started last, got all the way up to 3rd place, and ended up catching an inside wall, got a flat tire, had to go into the hot pit, which made me a lap down, but I still battled all the way back up to 4th place, even though I was a lap down. I don't know if everybody really liked that, but, I had a rough weekend, and I kind of had to just go out there and have some fun, so.
Dude, it looked like I only saw the highlight reel of that last moto or last race or whatever, and I don't want to say it looked like you were pissed off, but it looked like you were fired up, dude, like ready to go. And whatever happened in that 2-lane section, I think, is where you kind of lost it a little bit, but it looked like you hit a soft patch or a rock pump up or something, because it kind of redirected you super quick.
Yeah, that wall's it's a dirt wall. They had chalk on the top of it. Everybody thought there was K-rail underneath, but I asked Andrew Carlson, I was like, hey, is there K-rail underneath that thing? Because I hit it and it freaking shot my truck up like full wheelie. It was pretty gnarly, but no, the track is awesome there. They have a track that's kind of second to none. The way that they take care of it is awesome. The whole Carlson family is like really into off-road, so they care how their track is and how we feel about it. So it was a cool experience, my first time there. And the racing was insane. I mean, I got to watch a lot of the Pro 4 racing, unfortunately, but it was like some of the best, I think, in the last 4 years,
Dude, it looked like knockdown drag. Do you see any of it, Holden, or no?
I watched all
Dude,
of
it looked like MMA on 4 wheels. It looked so rad. I loved seeing that.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
So we had a couple comments come in. Stoked to Shred said that XTravel is doing big things. Can't wait to see how it works or handles in person. So I'm stoked, yeah, because I want to see how it handles and does in person too. In fact, I wish we had a little bit more time before. I was going to go hit the gutter gap out in here in front of IMG Motorsports and do some urban riding with it. So maybe if the show gets done early enough, we could post a clip on our Instagram page. So Doug, maybe you, or actually let's let Holden answer this one. John Hupper said, what are the benefits of the XTravel system in 2-foot whoops in the desert compared to a stock Polaris Dynamics Turbo S with dual rates? So maybe just give like a general stock system.
Yeah, so like a stock Polaris Turbo S would you'd be going through the whoops, and you'd feel a lot of like jolts in the wheel, and it'd start to
Feedback?
get a little like swappy sometimes because like the wheel starts getting a little out of control. But with the XTravel, the steer wheels just stay straight, and it's easier to keep it going straight instead of like swapping and having to get.
Yeah, to me that kind of sounds like having a dirt bike with just getting head shake all the time, and then you put a steering stabilizer on it, and it calms the whole front end down.
Yeah, it just calms the car down, makes it easier to handle.
Doug, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, with the steering stabilizer for a dirt bike, that's honestly a really good way to put that whole front system. Is it like if you're going for a long ways in a 2-foot whoop section? I don't know about you guys, but in a stock car, I only want to go probably about a minute or so because your hands, your arms are.
Yeah. You kind of just start losing it, right? Like you start just getting too much feedback. Like your hands get numb, like if you were on a dirt bike, like stuff like that.
Yeah, and you start getting a lot of fatigue and tiredness.
Yeah, exactly. With all that feedback, could you tell a difference since you were holding onto the steering wheel? Could you tell how it was for either Holden, like handling the car, or feeling it like in your butt in the passenger seat?
Yeah, I mean, just by some of the line choice that he was able to take, it's you can tell that and out of the corner of my eye, I can see he's not doing too much struggling with the wheel.
You know what I just thought of that's like actually a super huge benefit, but it's a totally different way of looking at it, is there's so many people that I talk to that are enthusiasts that go to the dunes or they go out of the desert, and their wife or whoever's sitting in the passenger seat has to take Dramamine, or they always get sick or have some sort of issue because they get car sickness, right? I feel like if you had that type of driving and a lot more comfort and not moving and wiggling the car around so much, that person would be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, you're able to hit stuff different than a normal front suspension, so the line choice is a little bit more open too, for sure.
How did you feel sitting in the passenger seat?
It felt really good. The whole car all around is really good. So.
Hey, Doug, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you, so we're going to have our own conversation a little bit here, so keep talking and chiming in with us as much as possible so we can see if we can get you back on, buddy. Drake Mittag says, reminds me of the Pro Light film when you won the championship. I don't know, man. How good will the setup handle jumping and stuff in the dunes? The Dune and Destroy boys want to know. So what I'm understanding is with the name Dune and Destroy, I know those guys really well. They're probably going to try to go out and destroy the XTravel system.
Yeah, which I'm thinking is going to be pretty hard to do. That stuff's really well built. So jumping it. So
you think Nestor will say, welcome the competition, come on, try to see if you can jack it up?
Yeah. So jumping the XTravel car, like a lot of people can get sketchy coming up to the lip of the jump, which can end in bad crashes because you can get sideways in the air and a bunch of stuff like that. So it'd be a lot easier just to get to the takeoff and getting it straight off the jump and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm just going to say thanks to Doug and send him a quick text message real quick and let him know that we appreciate him coming on. He's given up a lot, just traveling all the way to Wisconsin right now. He's a busy guy, so we really appreciate him coming on and hanging out with us for a little bit. It looks like we're getting a little bit close to 6 o'clock here, so let's finish up talking about the race, and then we're going to go to commercial break. So let's just say we're on lap 4. Like, how you guys feeling? Maybe Tanner, you give us your opinion.
We were feeling good. We knew we had some time to make up, so we pushed the car pretty hard, and even 4 laps in, the car was still strong and just took whatever the track had to give it.
And did you remember what physical position you were in?
Going out on the 4th lap, I believe we were a few spots back from where we finished. We made, I think, 4 or 5 passes in the 4th and 5th lap.
Okay, so you moved up pretty decent, but you didn't know what position you were in at that point?
No, that's right around when the tracker started slowing down. And
and getting all messed up?
They told us a couple car numbers that were in front of us, and so when we picked those guys off, we radioed back to them so they could keep their side updated. But
Stuart Fell says, I'm keen to hear how the XTravel would help with understeer in my WAGZ. Hey, we just kind of talked about it with Doug a little bit here. It pushes out in the corner, so I think it would actually help quite a bit. I don't know if they have a YXZ kit or anything available. We'll have to talk to Nestor a little bit about that. But I think the general overall consensus is with the system, it will help that a lot because it will actually move the outside tire in a little bit more when you're at full lock. So we can talk to him a little bit about it. I haven't got to actually test drive it just yet, but I know that a really big complaint that I had with the Yamaha system was if it did turn a little bit more, you would get a lot less of that jarring, like the wheel wanting to move back or the car wanting to redirect and go straight. So we'll ask Nestor a little bit about it. All right, so if we continue on with the race, it sounds to me like, honestly, you guys went far up, came pretty far back, had a little bit of adversity, and then you started moving back, but you weren't willing to kill yourselves to get first place. You just want to make sure you bring the car across the finish line.
Yeah, for sure. We knew, like, we could have won. We know we had a capable car to win, but obviously it's the first race in the car. We just want to get that first finish in it under our belt so we can go into the next races, like, wanting and going for the win.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess last lap, are you guys like, all right, we're going to push a little bit harder, or we're just going to save?
Yeah, last lap, we were running, I think, fifth place, and we pushed, like, pretty hard, but again, we wanted to get to that finish, so we didn't push as hard as we could, but we still ended up coming across that finish line in second. Nice,
dude. That's so cool. And to understand the like we said, you guys were pushing in 85, 80%, whatever.
85, yeah.
So to understand that you had that much more to give if you had to win the race, like if it was a Baja 1000 or the 500 or something, that you were just like, it was either go or no go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to understand that both of you guys obviously know what the vehicle is capable of, but also to understand that you can go that much faster.
Yeah, for sure. This car surprised me a lot. I didn't think it would be able to handle all this stuff that it could, for sure.
Well, especially coming from the beater, right?
Yeah, from the beater.
Yeah, we went through a few things that the beater probably would have ripped the front end off.
Yeah, we went through this one, like, rain rut hole, and we went through it probably going 50 miles an hour. And if we did that in the old car, the front end's gone.
Shredded,
gone.
right?
Yeah, it just soaked it all up.
All right, so you come across the finish line in second. What was the favorite part of the race? You go first, Tanner.
Probably the start. It was just, it's cool. Just you get to go up and you go up this hill and you come back down and you're back looking at the pits and you make a right. And
I didn't even ask where it was at. So where was it at?
Out in Ridgecrest.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So, but then it was just, the start was cool because, like I said, we set a good pace and Holden was just picking people off. And
yeah, that's
it
rad.
It felt really good.
That's super cool, man. Well, I'm glad that you guys did good. What was your favorite part of the race?
My favorite part was obviously probably getting the pass for the lead. It just felt good to know that we're leading our class and probably doing pretty good overall.
That's cool, man. It's such a, like, I don't know, it's like one of those things, like you just like a weight lifted off your shoulders when you get there because you're like, all right, now I've already done it. Like I have this, do you ever hear when like Supercross and motocross, like when the guys say, now he has that mental edge because he's in the lead. Now he knows he can do it.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like, right?
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what it feels like.
Whatever motorsport you're in, now you're like, you know what? I got this. Like I can be one of the guys now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it got to feel good, right?
Oh, it felt so good. There's a lot of weight lifted off my shoulder. I knew that I could run this pace, obviously, and just be up front.
So with your co-driver, since you know Holden so well, Tanner, could you kind of see the smile when you were listening to what he was saying? It's like,
yeah.
Dude, I know he's fired up.
Oh, yeah. There were some sections where we were going fast, and I can tell he was focused and in the zone, and we were motoring.
Dude, that's so cool that you guys have that vibe together.
Oh, yeah. We've been racing a lot together.
Dude, that's rad, man. Hey, what's the difference between like when you win in a short course race and when you're in that position in a desert race?
So when you're in the lead in the short course race, there's a lot, like, not as much of weight off your shoulders because it's a short race. Everyone's going to go and try something, try to give you a pass or doors. So you just got to
You got a pack of wolves right behind you.
It's nervous. Honestly, I'd say it's more nervous leading in a short course race than leading in a desert race for sure.
I think so too, but that's not taking away anything from desert racing because it's a whole different logistical tactics and all that stuff. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on and telling us about the race, and obviously, expanding on the XTravel stuff from a racer standpoint. It's really cool to understand how all of it works. I'm looking forward to testing out an XTravel system one of these days, but I'm also trying to look forward to seeing if I can make it out to a DP4 race or maybe even one of the races that you guys go to and seeing how you guys do.
Yeah, DP4, it's a great little series, not that big, not that many people, so it's just a lot of great people just running that race and running.
Since we got a couple more minutes till we go to commercial break, I know that you want to thank your dad because he does a lot for you. You got any other family members or people that you want to thank too?
My dad, my mom, obviously, Tanner helps a lot. He helps us prep the car. He goes to races of course, he co-drives, and it's just always there for the races.
How do you guys feel about prepping the car? Because I think there's so much credit that is due to you guys for working on the vehicles. Because you learn a shitload, you have a lot of work ethic. There's tons of things that come along with being able to work on these vehicles, like gaining life experience like you don't even know.
Yeah. There's a lot to the car, and this car is different than anything I've ever worked on, so it's definitely a learning curve. But it's just normal race prep. Just got to make sure everything's all good.
Yeah, and how do you feel about working on it?
Yeah, my dad, he always tells me a lot of the races won in the prep. There can be people that don't put much time in the prep, and that's why they break early.
I'm sure that other people have told you that your dad's a smart cookie.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, like I said, and I know that you want to thank the XTravel guys for helping you out and giving you the opportunity to obviously have their suspension as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank them so much, because without them, I wouldn't be racing this amazing car and being with such an amazing team.
Yeah, and having that testing platform where you can actually go out and test it and use all that stuff. You're a good selling resource for them, so make sure that you tell them that when you ask for your new sponsorship for 2022, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you guys did a very good job. I really think that you guys have a bright future ahead of you, being so young and so knowledgeable, and obviously you guys are well represented and well spoken, so it's cool to see, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other sponsors or no?
Justice Brothers, AIM, CSD.
Oh, these guys right here?
Yeah, Justice Brothers, of course. They helped me out so much. They've been actually with me since I first started racing. Then they're actually with me before I was even racing. When my dad was racing 5-car.
Nice.
So we've been with them for a long time.
Should we get your dad on the show? Is he good at talking or no?
Yeah, for sure. He's got a lot of old racing stories he'd probably share.
Does that mean that we'll get all the the demographic will go up to the 80-year-olds or what?
Yeah, definitely a lot of old racing stories.
I love that though, dude. Some of the racing stories that we got from Rob McCachran, the dudes, I got messages all sliding into our DMs, George, why are you talking? We just want to listen to him. He's so much better at telling stories because he's got so many rad stories to tell, dude. It's super cool. Well, I really appreciate it. Why don't you guys throw out your Instagram so people can stalk you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Holden, HOLDEN.912.
Yeah, I know you had a second one, but that's a good one because it's a UTV
that
one.
one's UTV.
And mine is TQ517, TKUW517.
All right, so go stalk these guys and have a little bit of fun with them online. Slide into their DM, see if they need any help at the races. I know there's a lot of kids out there that always ask the Dirt Life Show how to get into racing. Well, one of the best ways to get into racing is always to give help to teams that need it. And it would be really cool, and I know that Kevin, Holden's dad, would love to be able to help other kids too to get out to the races and be a part of the racing crew and just learn, man. It's so cool to have all this racing camaraderie, just like Holden and Tanner said before when they crossed that finish line. That's one of the things that they respected the most about off-road racing. So, all right, thanks, boys. Really appreciate it. You guys did a fantastic job. So I don't know if you're going to stay on with us. You might stay on with us a little bit, but we're going to get Nestor Berardi here in just a second. We're going to go to commercial break. We will be right back. So all you Instagram Live people, hang tight.
You ready to test these tires out? I was born ready. Let it rip.
Shock Therapy, the premier UTV suspension tuning company. We test daily with the leading manufacturers in the industry to perfect our shock tunes and race-proven components for all UTVs. Whether it's high-speed racing or slower trails, we have a suspension tune that is perfect for your driving style. Visit shocktherapist.com to improve your ride today.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions. Racing in pleasure racing products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period. Zollinger Racing. Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I'm trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? Small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like, let's say, a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up.
And then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really, really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
it's
the
like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. We are back. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight, man. This episode 93 of the Dirt Life Show is just kicking off to be a fantastic show. We are so stoked to be able to talk with these XTravel guys and Holden, Tanner, Doug Mittag. It's just been such a good understanding of how far the UTV industry is progressing. So now we have, what will you call you, the inventor?
Yeah,
the man behind the product.
The mad scientist is what they call me.
So the mad scientist, Nestor Berardi, on stage with us. It's really cool to have him in because he's going to be able to give us a lot of understanding of how the actual system works. We'll be able to get in a little bit more and get some behind-the-scenes stuff so that we can show you how it works. The Dirt Life Show's upgrading, man. We got a remote camera operator with Alfonso today, so we'll hopefully be able to get a better understanding of what the product does. And obviously we have Holden here being able to tell us what it does from the seat of his pants. So welcome to the show, Nestor.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm ready to answer a million questions, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how many questions come in. I know that sometimes after the commercial break we lose a little bit of people, but Mitch Guthrie is going to come on and join us here in probably about 4 or 5 minutes. So it'll be cool to talk with Mitch, and then we can dive right in with all the questions. So the first question that I have, Nestor, is how does something like this even come as an idea in your head to be able to accomplish something like this for a UTV?
So I've had this idea for a few years, close to 5 years now, and I've seen a lot of F1 cars and different things that have this multi-link suspension. So when I started looking into it, I noticed that all these, Audis and all this stuff, they're dealing with very limited amount of travel.
Right.
3 to 5 inches. There's not much there.
Yeah, little to none.
And so when I started looking at it, I'm like, okay, let's figure out how to get that baseline and then make that work with a ton of travel. Let's see what all these pivots start doing when you really get mass angulation into the pivots, steering angulation, giant tires with huge amounts of scrub. Like what's going to happen? So
the complexity is not simple. Like it's pretty intense.
Yeah, and especially when you're moving that much shock throw, and try to keep these links together, because they're just a bunch of fighting links basically. They're all fighting each other the whole time. Yep. So to try to keep all that together and keep everything moving with spherical bearings and all that, it gets complicated. But after years of going through it and figuring it out. I mean,
Testing.
Yeah, we got it down, and now it's just I think it's a game changer. I think this is the next evolution of what front suspension is going to be. It's not, you don't have before it was I-beams.
Yep.
Now like everybody's okay. We got to run arms. You can't have a trophy truck with I-beams and be competitive. You got to have A-arms.
Yep.
And now we're going to go to the next level. We're going to you want to be competitive. You got to have virtual, suspension. You can't have.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys have future product development already in mind.
Oh yeah.
I think it's fantastic that you're able to apply it in such a new, well, I always say that UTVs are a new industry because it feels like it's still, right? They've been around since 2008, but they're really progressing in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so to be able to progress it even that much further is really, like, in my opinion, is really, like, it's so freaking cool to see it. And to see the adoption coming from top-level people like Bryce Menzies, Casey Curry, Mitch Guthrie, who's going to call in just a little bit here. It's got to feel pretty good for the company.
Yeah. Well, I've been really blessed with being in this industry for so long, the off-road industry. I've been in it for, 30 years now.
Yeah.
Building stuff and and dealing with a lot of really cool people. And once I kind of brought the idea to Mitch Guthrie and Casey Curry and guys like that, they're like, you know what, let's do it. They had full faith that what I was designing and building was gonna work. And I mean, they took a good risk too, but it all worked out. I mean, they love it, and everybody that drives it is just floored. They can't believe what it's doing. They don't understand it. It feels like I'm trying to explain crypto to people. I mean, it's just kind of like how does it work? It's like, well, these pivots, they fight each other.
How does Positrack on a Plymouth work? It just does.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, so we got some comments coming in. Tyrone Robinson, what's up, man? It's good to see you, buddy. Richard HPR Harding says, Nestor behind a lot of racers. So that's actually one of the questions that I was going to ask, and Holden can probably attest to this, is that you actually did quite a bit of stuff before. One of the claims to fame that your partner had sent over to us was that you helped build or create trophy carts, and they were featured on the Kardashians.
They were, I created the trophy cart, and when I built it, it was just kind of a fun thing for me to do, and I'm not a dirt bike guy.
Yeah.
I'm more a four wheels guy.
Got it.
I love people that ride dirt bikes. I think they're cool, but I don't do it, and I was always a truck guy, and that's always what I like to do. When I decided to do a half-scale version of a truck, everybody's like, who's going to want that? But I built it, modeled it just like a trophy truck, so it's like, okay, well, everybody just went crazy, and we started a racing series off of it.
To think about how far they've come now, I mean, like, it's literally like the closest thing that you can get to driving a Pro 2.
Yeah.
Like, it's phenomenal, right?
The power to weight on a mod cart right now is crazy.
It is. It's really crazy. We can talk about mod carts till the day we die, but Holden is one of your first, one of the first people that you've seen graduate from the trophy carts into the UTVs.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about, like, drivers like Holden. Like, he knows, like, driving a mod cart is literally like it's reacting so quickly. The steering's like 1-to-1, so any little movement you do, it's just darts over to one side and
whips
another.
back and forth.
I mean, it's like driving a shifter cart in the dirt.
Yeah.
So when you take that and then you put them in a bigger car, they just have a huge advantage. So everybody that's coming from carts just dominates the big car market.
I could only imagine, man. And we had a funny comment come in. This one's for Holden's dad, Kevin. Jeff Knupp says, Kevin's head is going to get so big. So we love the camaraderie of the off-road world because everybody can talk shit to each other, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we kind of understand that there's so much more behind your story. Like, we could talk about your story for a whole show by itself. So I think we should just focus on the XTravel stuff today. But understanding a little bit of your background, is it mostly engineering? Like concept, like design?
I do it all. I'm doing, engineering, designing, fabrication, welding. That's what And I have a great team behind me now that does a lot of my fabrication and welding for me, and these guys are amazing. They're actually, I'm old now and hands are shaking, and they're much better welders and fabricators than I am. But these guys.
He's old. He looks 22. Wouldn't you agree, Kevin? So we both have a mutual friend. His name is David Karen. He works here at IMG, and he said that he knew you from working in the past.
Yeah, and he was a great fabricator, and I mean, I'm sure he does a great job here too, and he's a good guy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's a small community too. You know, it's like I cross paths with a lot of older employees and guys that start their own businesses and things like that, and it's pretty cool to see that.
Have you ever been to any of the like idea sessions or anything like that, Holden, that Nestor has, where you can kind of see his brain work?
Not really, but in my mod cart, we take a lot of like the fab work we need to get done. We always take it to him, and he gets it done really fast and really good.
Nice, dude. Execution is the key, right? Ideas don't come to fruition unless there's execution.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool that you have a good partner as well in your racing, because you have a person that can execute anytime you need something, right?
Yep.
When was the first time you actually met Nestor?
I would say probably when I was racing Junior 2. So probably 2 or 3 years ago, I first met him. Yeah.
Man, it's so funny to me, like, to hear the 14-year-olds talk, because I'm like, Jesus Christ, these guys have so much more that they're going to be able to do. They're going to be so fast in the future.
Yeah. I just feel old.
Maybe give us a little bit more of a backstory then. So on XTravel itself. So XTravel was conceived by some ideas that you had, but now you have business partners as well.
Yeah. So I took those ideas and I was messing with them and was working on a full-size truck on my own, just kind of working on it. And then James came, and he's a quad racer, and he wanted me to build something pretty wild for him. And he said, "Hey, you have something that is different. I want something totally different, wild, something that no one's done before." And I said, I have the perfect thing for you. So we took a Honda TRX 450 and basically built a XTravel kit on that and made a proof of concept to see if this really works. And the cool thing is, like, we went and started driving this thing, and well, he got on it, and I said, okay, well, according to my calculations, you should be able to hit this curb with one tire without touching the steering wheel or the handlebars, and it's not going to move. And
that's cool.
He basically said, no, you're nuts. There's no way. And he did. He hit it. He's like, I can't believe it's doing this. We hit a bigger curb, and he's literally like just railing this thing by putting his hands just on top of the handlebars. Now this bike doesn't have any steering stabilizer, nothing on it. It's just the XTravel suspension doing its job.
That's insane, dude. Like, it's so cool. And like I said before, when I was talking about the head shake and the stabilizer on a dirt bike, like, to me, it just seems like, and I really want to drive it and I want to test it out because I would have a better feel for it. But it's kind of what Holden was talking about before. Like, you could just kind of just, like, hold it. Like, you hold the wheel. It does almost a work for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, man. So you have the business partners. You kind of start getting things going. And, like, what's the next step? Try to release it into the market?
So, yeah, James is good friends with John, and they came to me and said, look, this is huge. This is one of the
game
biggest things
we've
seen. We need to facilitate this, like, to get it to market, like, to really launch it correctly and do the right IP. You know, we have 6 patents right now with it, and we keep getting more and more patents. There's different parts of the suspension that we're patenting, doing patents individually.
Yeah, you got to have that intellectual property, man, because this is such a great idea. Hey, so we got Mitch Guthrie Jr. on with us on Instagram. What's up, buddy?
What up, guys? How's it going?
Dude, we're doing fantastic. Like, honestly, hearing about all this XTravel stuff, it sounds so rad, dude. And you got to test it out at KOH.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was one of the first ones to drive it and work with Nestor and XTravel, and it's super cool. It's awesome to drive something that's, you know, innovative and different. What we've been dealing with, you know, on the Razors and Can-Ams, all the cars for a while has kind of been the same thing. So it was really cool, you know, before King of the Hammers, for Nestor to approach us with this and to see it. You know, it's so different.
Okay, so I know that a lot of the people, like, we got a bunch of comments coming in after we started posting that we were going to get it. What was your opinion at first when you saw the XTravel system, you were like, what? Because I couldn't grasp it, and we already had people come over and look at the vehicle that Nestor brought over here, and they were like, dude, how does this work? And these guys are like mechanic guys. Like, so what were you thinking when you first saw it?
I didn't know what to think. Thankfully, you know, we've known Nestor for a long time. When I first started racing trophy karts, kind of when he like invented that thing back in the day is when we met Nestor. So I knew I could trust what he was building. So that's why, you know, we put it on the car for King of the Hammers. But the first time I saw it, you know, I'm not an engineer or a fabricator or anything by any means. So me just looking at it, I'm like, all right, well, let's drive it and see how it is. That was my biggest thing, was getting behind the wheel and seeing how it actually works. So that was probably the biggest factor of running it.
Hey, so Mitch just said he's not an engineer or anything. The Evan 902 commented, and he's the Cerveza Savage.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct, for sure.
Jeffrey Ricker also commented and said, "What's up, Mitchie?" Well, actually, this is a really good question, and let's see if Mitch can answer this. How easy was it to install it for the average shade tree mechanic?
It's not bad at all. You know, it's just like installing anything on a razor. There's no fab needed, nothing special. So you pretty much can just buy the kit and it's all bolt-on. So not too bad.
That's pretty cool, man. And that just in itself is like an engineering feat, right? Because you got to test it and get it finally tuned.
Yeah, exactly. And not most of the cars they do a pretty good job with the mounts, like the upper and lower control arm mounts and everything. They're pretty close. So what's really nice is like you take an A-arm, which is built, you know, an A-arm kit that might work great on one car, and then you take that same arm and try to slide it into the pockets of another car, and they might be slightly different.
Yep.
And then you've got to like pry the arm in and make it fit, because, you know, it just
tolerances just depend on the assembly line and all that.
Yeah, and so with this, every single link's independent of each other, so there's no fitment issues. You slide the thing in and bolt it up, and you're good to go.
Wow, that's actually super cool. So the adverse, like we just said, Mitch kind of gave us a little bit of an understanding of how he felt the first time that he got to see it or to use it. What was the adverse for you? Like saying, okay, crap, like I know what this thing's going to do, like in my head, and I'm giving it to one of these professional drivers. How are you feeling about putting it in the hands of a person like Mitch?
I was super excited. I was like, I can't wait to see, like, because he's going to give me the feedback that I need, especially hitting rocks. Like Holden, the same thing. Like when we went out test, like I want all the professional feedback, because I'm not a driver. I build it, and I'm like the little mad scientist that goes off in the corner and watches it go. And then these guys are the guys that are doing all the work. So when Mitchie went out there and like just beat the crap out of it, he comes back smiling as like, this thing's crazy. I can't believe we can do all this stuff with it. That I was super
So what
stoked.
we're going to do is actually, Mitchie, you won't be able to see this because we're on Instagram Live, but on the professional broadcasting, we're going to actually play the clip where you're going, I think it's down through, I don't know what section, but it's down through a section at King of the Hammers.
That's one big point, was this year, you know, even just when Nestor showed us what it is and what XTravel does, one of the big things we've been struggling with at King of the Hammers is feedback in the steering wheel and the slow stuff. So, you know, you guys have been talking the wrong direction, you know, with your tire turned one way or the other, and it will lock up the steering. So that's one thing we've struggled with a lot. So, you know, the first time, you know, I'm sure you guys are watching a video right now, driving it, it's like you can barely hold on to that steering wheel and, you know, have the sidewall hit a rock or the front of the tire hit a rock anywhere, and it's not going to...
Yeah, you can actually see a little bit of you grabbing the steering wheel in the clip that we're watching. You're coming down a hill and you kind of just like throw the front end in and you push it into a berm, and it looks like you're just barely grabbing onto the steering wheel. It looks like you're not holding on for dear life like what you would normally think at that pace.
Yeah. That was one of the cool things was I actually kind of put the trust into my dad. I was out at King of the Hammers, or I wasn't at King of the Hammers. I was at Dakar Rally. So I was gone, and thankfully my dad and Curtis, my co-driver, they were putting the cars together for King of the Hammers. So they ended up putting it on the car. I got back and was like, all right, let's see it. So I looked at the cars. I think it was on one of our pre-runners, and first thing I did was just drive it into a block wall that was right outside of my shop.
Nice.
Drive it in sideways and just see how the car took it. And I was able to drive up a block wall like diagonally basically, and barely hold onto the steering wheel, and the steering didn't want to pull the tires, to that side.
That's
So it's
so
pretty amazing
crazy.
to drive up like that.
It's eerie.
It really is. Hey, so just to break up the conversation a little bit, your biggest fan, Seth Quintero, he's throwing hearts. He's saying he loves you. The whole nine, dude.
Yeah, I love that little guy. He's like my little brother.
Hey, we were actually driving up to Vegas, and we thought we saw you up in the dust, like way out, like doing some testing. So it was pretty cool to just wave as you and kind of just hope that we were waving at you while you were going through the desert.
Yeah, I think that was me.
And it was probably like it was at the DP4 races, about 169 degrees out there that day too, and you were just testing all that stuff.
Yeah, that was good times.
So. All right, so I want to ask him again before we talk about a little bit more of the in-depth stuff. If you could give us a difference, Mitch, because we had this comment come in already. If you're going through like a 2-foot whoop section in Gordon's Well, Glamis, wherever, what's the difference between a stock suspension system and the XTravel suspension in the driver's seat?
It's a big difference. You usually don't get the feedback like you get with a stock suspension system. So when you're going through like a large amount of whoops that are in a row, a whoop section, the car will kind of start darting one way or the other, depending on how your suspension's set up, if you have good shocks or not. And then also another thing is you'll be driving and you won't feel, I think Nestor, I don't know 100%, but I believe with XTravel, it has a little bit less, caster or camber change, like going through the travel, I think.
You're talking about change, like the actual way
like the way
that
the tire
that moves.
actually cambers in on itself.
Right, and you see that a lot when they do tests. You can see like a Can-Am X3 going through whoops. You can see the front like a duck feather. Like it's
that's going to be the bump steer through the travel.
Okay.
So I did as much as I could to eliminate pretty much all of that, so that it's not going through the travel and towing in and out as it's kind of cycling through stuff.
Got it.
Which you see on some of the stock cars. But what Mitch is talking about is when it the camber gain itself. I gave it a little more camber gain, which is going to give you a better set when you were talking about how the car wants a corner better.
Right, because it's rolling onto it.
Because it's rolling onto that tire and it's just grabbing that tire a little nicer. And then I gave it a little more Ackerman, which Ackerman is basically when you take the outside tire and the inside tire and the difference of how much each is turning.
Where it pushes in. Yep.
So if on a lot of them, there's a lot less Ackerman, and what it ends up doing is hikes up the car in the turn, so you get these rollover effects when the car's turning. The Ackerman that I put in flattens the car, so when you turn, it allows you to really just plant the car.
Right, because it's given. Yeah, and I always complained about this. Mitch can probably add a little bit more to this. I've never tested it, but I always complained about that in short course racing. Like I wanted it to feel more smooth because the car always wants to redirect to the outside, always. So if I had that, I feel like it would have been a super big game changer.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things that I'm trying to play with the stock pivot points that are on the Polarises and the Can-Ams and everything that's there. So I don't have a blank canvas to work off of. I still have to use their geometry in a sense, but I'm kind of cheating certain things and creating certain effects that are helping the car work a lot better in the whoops.
Yeah, just like I said before, like in the parking lot, I could feel that it would work better. I don't know who just sent this in because the comment already rolled up, but where do you get the best improvement with the system? Sand, rocks, desert? Let's actually let Mitch answer that first, and then we'll ask Holden.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that you get it anywhere better because it does the same thing everywhere. So, one huge difference definitely is King of the Hammers, and that's one thing that we wanted to improve, and XTravel improved for us was the feedback when you're in the rocks, but it improves the feedback and the steering and all those things everywhere. So you could be in the sand, you could be in the desert, and it's doing the same thing the whole time. Maybe some areas you might not feel it quite as much, but it's doing it everywhere you drive it. And even when you're, say, just in the desert, you're out of Ocotillo Wells or something, or in Barstow, you feel the same thing. It's one big thing that it's almost like the car has better power steering or something like that. Because it's getting less feedback. You're not feeling that jitter in the steering wheel while you're going around the corner, and the car just kind of flows a lot better through corners and things like that. But yeah, I'd say everywhere for that question.
So, Holden, I want you to answer the same question, but to me, again, I'm going to relate it in dirt bike terms because I don't know the four-wheel world as well as Nestor does here, but on a normal Honda, you have, I think it's 20 degrees of rake on the front end. Mm-hmm. You put it out to 22, it settles the whole bike. 100%. It takes away a lot of the jitter in the steering wheel. It takes a lot of the vibrations out. It takes a lot of the knifing and cutting out of it so that it doesn't dart around. And it actually settles the rear of the car down because it calms down the whole bike. So you kind of have a little bit less sag that you have to put in. You can raise it up a little bit and use more preload. So I'm going to ask two questions here because I want Holden to follow up what Mitchie said. But does it have effect on the rest of the vehicle? I want to follow it up. So, Holden, what was your answer in the same question that Mitch had?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Mitch. It helps everywhere. He probably felt it more in the rocks because King of Hammers is a really rocky race, but I felt it really improved like through the whoops. It was so much better, a lot easier to keep it straight, and it wouldn't really get upset easy.
Yeah, again, that head shake thing that I was talking about. So, when you apply all of that different mechanism or suspension to the front end, what does it do adversely to the rest of the car from the center point back?
Yeah, so by smoothing out the front and making the front not be so reactive to bumps and steering, it settles the back of the car as well.
Right.
But what we started noticing when we were doing all our testing with Mitch was that now we're noticing how much more work we have to do to the back to tune the car, because we're like, the front is just perfect all the time, and then we're like constantly tuning on the back,
right?
Because the back's pretty close to stock, as far as the geometry, but the front's outperforming the back now.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where I was going with it then too, is like, so how Holden explained it, and Mitch, I want you to be able to answer this too, is Holden explained it like you can go through and without the XTravel system, the car gets a lot twitchy, right? Like you're getting head shake in the front end, you're trying to calm it down. So that adversely makes the back end skate around, right? Like, so the back end is moving all over the place. But once you calm down the front end, does it feel like the same way in the back too? Like it settles it in more, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, the front and the back of the car are always working together. So if you get like Nestor just said, if you get the front working better, the rear is also going to work better with it. And I think that goes back to like you were saying with the whoops, is if you get the front to go through the whoops better and you get less feedback through the steering, you're correcting yourself less. You're always correcting every single whoop. You're turning the wheel slightly. And if you're having to turn the wheel less, the car's tracking better and you're getting better traction. You're flowing better through the whoops. Instead, I'm sure plenty of people have had the moment where they're hitting some big whoops and you start counter steering one way and then the other, and you start getting some of this. And it helps from getting that, and you track the car better through whoops.
Yeah, how many UTV fails have we seen where people just get swapped out and just like roll the car in the whoops or something, just going
I've done that one a couple times.
Yeah, I can only imagine, and I could imagine that this has a lot of adverse effects. I mean, like at the dunes, going down Sand Highway in a desert race, you get less tired, like all kinds of different positives, right? Oh, hey, we had a comment come in from a guy you might know, Mike Gardner. He says, "I really like Mitchie."
I like that guy too.
Peter Quaid says, does the track width stay the same, Nestor, or as OEM, or can you get a wider version?
So the Pro XP is wider. It's the long travel. It's a 72-inch version. That's the first kit we came out with. The Turbo S,
I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, so the Turbo S is still the same. It's a 72-inch with Turbo S. And the Turbo S, actually, I was looking at some of the geometry. I ended up moving the front spindle line. I moved it forward 1.5 inches because it actually helps stabilize the car a lot more than moving it back. It makes the car think that it's a little bit longer, but it's not. It's just I had to kind of cheat that a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Just to make the axles work better. It gives me more steering. There's a lot of good effects to that.
Well, we're not engineers here, but I can already tell that Mitchie and Holden were pretty pumped on those stuff that you did. So, what cars have you run it on, Mitch?
Just my King of the Hammers car for now. Well, actually, it's only been Pro XPs, but out at King of the Hammers, luckily, Nestor got us 2 kits, so I was able to pre-run. We always bring a pre-runner in a race car, So I was able to pre-run with the XTravel suspension, which we did the whole course probably twice, and then also raced on it in my Pro XP. And so that's another cool thing is, I think that same Pro XP kit that was originally on my pre-runner, man, we put so many brutal miles on that thing. And then I think Nestor has been running on other cars as well. So the longevity of the kit too is another really cool feature of it. The uniballs, everything lasts so long, and especially for what we put it through, I was pretty stoked on that too.
Hashtag no ball joints.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so the King also had some testing with it too. Was he pretty happy from what you heard?
Yeah, the King, he's the final say. When I left for Dakar Rally last year, I was like, all right, when I get home, we'll see if we end up with it on the car or not. And we did and tested it, and everything worked out great, and we were super happy with it. But yeah, the crew chief, the King, is the final say. And that was one of his biggest points too. Like I was saying, getting that feedback out of the steering for being on the rocks, and he's dealt with that a lot and been pretty pissed a few times. Almost broke his thumb off. So that fixed it for him this year, and he was really happy.
Yeah, we can't have anything happen to King's thumbs, dude. We got to keep those things like all good and movable for the next races. Well, hey, dude, we really appreciate it. We're going to get into some of the technical stuff with Nestor. You got anything new coming up that you want to share with the audience?
No, nothing too crazy. Just Vegas to Reno next, and continue the Best in the Desert series. Lots of races coming up. Luckily we have a little bit of a break right now, but lots of things up our sleeve, so we'll keep everyone updated.
Sweet, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little bit. I don't know if you know this guy, Mitch Guthrie, the King. He just said, looks like Nestor needs a donut.
I definitely need one.
Yeah, that always needs a donut.
I do.
Are you like
that's my weak spot. It's my kryptonite.
Understanding Nestor trying to explain this, because as much as he's explained it to me, I still don't fully understand it. It's just a complicated system of levers and
yes.
Exactly. Well, that's why we got you as the resident expert to be able to explain it in layman's terms for us. So, hey, we really appreciate it, bud. You did an awesome job, and thank you again for taking the time to hang out with us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, bud. We'll see you later. We'll get you on the show as soon as we can, bud. We'll see you.
All right, see ya.
It's cool to understand that. And, yeah, like I said before, how does the posi track rear end on Plymouth work? Like it just does, right? Yeah. So I think that most of us as the non-engineers or the non-builders will be able to understand how it feels more in the seat of our pants, like what Holden and Mitch were explaining.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hardest part is trying to explain it and you tell somebody, no, you don't. It doesn't feel. You don't feel it. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying because there's all this pressure being applied to the rack or the ram or whatever. It's actually the mechanics of it there's no feedback going through the system. So essentially, like, you could run a test and put like a tiny 1/4-inch tie rod on the thing and hit something. Essentially, that tie rod shouldn't break based on the way the system works. So there is no real weak point in the system, which is there's a fuse. When you talk about a standard suspension like A-arms, the fuse is going to be the tie rod, where there is no fuse on this.
Yeah, it makes sense. And like you're talking about mechanical bind and things like that, and I can only relate to it not from an engineer standpoint, but from a human feeling standpoint, right? Just like Holden and these guys. When you say that or when Holden says that it I don't want to say eliminates or decreases the amount of feedback you get in the steering wheel or makes it more steady. It means it almost feels like it has a stabilizer. To me, that feels like right there it's a complete win. So are you guys interested in maybe showing a little bit about how the components work?
Yeah,
okay,
let's
so
check this out.
we're going to actually switch to a remote camera. So give us a little bit of credit here. We're trying to try to talk through it a little bit.
When any load's applied to the tire at any point in the tire, it's going to bind these points. It's not going to let them want to actually steer the tire, because it would have to move those points forward or back or change the distance or the length of the points. So that's what that bind's coming in. What's great about it also is, like on a standard, it actually is supposed to point an imaginary line from that access point down through the tire down to the bottom of the floor. So when you do that, that's great if you're hitting a bump that's 2 inches tall. that's awesome. And it's not going to have any feedback. The minute you hit anything bigger than that, as you go up the side of the tire, that point starts to move away from the center of the tire. So when it does, now you're getting the feedback. It's like when you put a big offset tires on a car and you start hitting stuff and everything, you just feel everything because the tire offset's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same principle. So with this, not going to have the steering feel any of that. So that's a huge difference.
So maybe so that you can actually see it, how it's working. It's actually super cool to be able to...
That's just the 2 point to the center of the tire. So it's just misleading. It looks like the camber and caster are moving all over the place when they're actually not.
Yeah, and exactly like you said, if you drew a straight line, you would understand that it's actually staying in the range to be straight, the wheel to be straight.
And then all that has to be, since everything's moving around, changing in sizes, changing in lengths, this the trunnion, our actual shock link pivot, which if you want to show that from the top here, that shock link pivot has to move in 3 different directions. It has to move up and down, and it has to twist. So we run spherical bearings on that to allow for all these direction changes to happen.
Yeah, so it kind of just swivels back and forth, basically, right?
It swivels in all different directions. It's not only moving back and forth, but it's changing in length. The point to point is changing in length. So everything's off axis, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, but basically it's allows for free full movement of everything. And the other cool thing is where the shock's being pointed at any given direction, the shock's constantly loading the pivot swaying back and forth.
I'm sorry? For a stock vehicle, all of it is like you explained to me at the beginning of the show. It's a mechanical bind. So when you have single access points, the shock is always at a wrong point when it's either fully drooped or fully compressed. So there's never a good settled portion of it. So when you're doing this, you're relieving a lot of that stress.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty cool to be able to see that, man. And to understand how that stuff works is, like I said, how does posi track on a Plymouth work? It just does, right? But I really appreciate you going through and showing us all that, man, because it helps explain it to our audience a little bit better. Let's see here. Richard Harding said huckabuck, so he was talking about some stuff. Holden, you can come back and join us if you want, man. I appreciate you letting those guys go back around. It's neat to be able to understand how forward-thinking your mindset is to be able to get this going. I know that one of the questions that we're going to get after the show is, can this fit on my car? What cars is it available for right now?
So right now we've got it on a Pro XP. We did a Turbo S. We are currently working on a Can-Am right now, which is going to be, I'm hoping in the next 6 weeks we're going to have something that we're going to be able to showcase. So I mean, I'm just constantly trying to produce kits, create new things, and make sure to take it to market. But before I do, I want to make sure that everything works correctly. I don't have to change.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to have the vehicles to test it on and do all that stuff. Well, first of all, that just by itself, coming out with the idea and having it available for these couple models is fantastic, because I think a lot of people that have those vehicles are going to be willing to put that on their vehicles and test it out and try it. And I think it's going to be awesome to see, because I think sooner or later it's going to be adapted or adopted by many.
Yeah, I think so.
Where can people look into buying it? I know that, who said it before? Was it Mitchy or was it Doug that said there was a lot already being sold?
Yeah, so on XTravel, XTravelSuspension.com.
Okay.
You go on that, and we're right now in pre-production, so we're building for select few people that want the kit, that are going to go out and be good ambassadors for us and help us out. I mean, I think that right now the market, we're getting so many people that are asking about it and are interested in it, but we want to make sure that we launch this correctly. I don't want to, I'm really, you can tell I'm pretty picky with how I'm building stuff and all that. So I want to make sure that everything that goes to market is correct, and we don't have any issues.
Well, and I can tell the fans and all of the listeners and drivers and stuff that are listening to this, Nestor's being really humble right now. He's a fantastic dude, and his mindset is off the chain, and he does really want to provide you guys with an awesome product. But I would strongly suggest maybe seeing if you can get your hands on one of these, because I definitely want to. Oh, John Huppert's actually asked, do you still need limit straps?
No, you don't need limit straps.
You can still put them on, I'm sure, though.
You can, but it's not necessary. The kit's set up just like if you were going to run a stock shock.
Okay.
It doesn't require for you to run like ridiculous amounts of spring rate in it to keep the car level. So no, it's not. I mean, people are worried about blowing the shock apart because they run so much spring rate, and you don't need to do that.
Okay, that's cool. Jason Hess also commented in, stoked to see Nestor in the side-by-side market. So it sounds like you were in some other markets, obviously, other than trophy carts too.
Yep. I just used to do pre-runners, race trucks, and so we've got some good stuff going right now with Menzies, designing some of their stuff right now. That's in the works, and but yeah, the Pro XP kits are available. Turbo S kits are available. Can-Am will be available, and we're going to keep going down the road. Just keep doing, maybe Yamaha, maybe Honda. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see it on all the platforms. I know that it's everybody thinks you can just bolt it on, right? But it's a really good, huge amount of work to be able to do all the testing and get it set up for each individual vehicle. And you have to have access to vehicles and all that stuff. But it would be cool for a lot of bolt-ons to happen. Yeah. So, like we asked Mitch earlier, like you putting your product into the hands of fantastic drivers like Holden, how does it feel?
No, it's amazing. I'm so glad that he makes the product look so good. Yeah. Because if it was me driving, people would be like, "No, what is that thing? That thing he rolled over 5 times already. Like that thing sucks." Like, but drivers like Holden, it's like amazing.
Did you ever see when the guy they gave the Yamaha YXZ, I think it was Yamaha's president at the time, the ability to drive the car out at a Supercross race and do it, and he flipped it over in the middle of everybody? Dude, so we were like a proponent of selling Yamahas at the point. We were like up, all our sales were up, and then all of a sudden it took a huge dive. So I see what you're saying by making sure that you have the right driver, right?
Yeah, you're not going to see me driving it anytime soon. I'll drive it around for fun, but I'm not going to be the ambassador for the driving.
Oh, that's cool. Pre-runner Greg said Nestor is ahead of the game. All of the OEM will jump on this. Hey, he's got patents, dude. So I don't know if the OEMs can jump on it, but you're right, though. Pre-runner, I think it's cool. Like I said at the beginning of the show, man, the innovation and the leading edge technology that UTVs are seeing now. Like, just imagine 5 years ago, this wasn't even an idea in Nestor's head. Like, the UTVs have evolved to a place where he's willing to take his expertise in the off-road market and put it into this UTV culture or this UTV genre. Like, it's phenomenal that we're getting fantastic, smart individuals like Nestor to be able to do this, and XTravel to be able to make the industry grow. And I think Holden can agree because he's been in it for a while now too.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the next steps for you guys together with Holden?
So we've got what's the racing schedule right now?
Laughlin race, Best Desert Laughlin race.
Okay, so that'll be a pretty cool one, right? Is there any testing or anything that goes on behind the scenes with the XTravel product to be able to test that and to see what you can execute better in the future?
Yeah, so that's what's great about going testing with Holden. We're going to do different races. It's going to be different scenarios. Like we're already talking about changing the suspension a little bit as far as the valving goes, so that he can run a different style race versus what he did now, which is a high speed, just balls out race.
Yep.
This is going to be a more of a long term, it's an attrition race versus what he just did. So I think we need to set the valving up a little different, but it's good because we get all these different situations where we get the feedback from Holden, and we can say, okay, we're going to make these adjustments. We're going to work on, not even just suspension. We're working on clutching. We're working on the way that the rear end works, the way that the transmission, gearing, all that stuff is really important to set the car up correctly. Because, the more we know and the faster we can make the car, then it's just going to make us look better too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it always helps to have a good close person to be able to test with you, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like the other guys are doing the same thing for you. Doug Mittag, Casey Curry, obviously Mitch Guthrie. If somebody wants this stuff, they can just bolt on their stock stuff?
Yeah.
Like their stock shocks, they can use all the same stuff?
Stock shocks. The Turbo S is literally stock shock, stock spring rate. Everything just bolts right on, and I mean we even give you the clicker settings for the front end.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so make it super easy for people, and it sounds like you're going to have different levels of systems set up too. Like if you do one desert setup and you have it on a certain vehicle, you can give option 1, 2, or 3, maybe a KOH setup, like so you can adjust your suspension. So in the future, as the product develops, you can say, okay, if you're going to use it for this type of riding most of the time, then you set it up this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's so cool. I can't wait to be able to try this, man.
Yeah.
So how many people have taken it out in a non-racing environment? Do you know?
So James took it out to the sand dunes. Yeah, and he just ran it all weekend and gave people rides. Was jumping witches' eyes, doing all kinds of crazy stuff with it, landing it like you would think, oops, like I just overshot a jump, landing it completely on one tire, doing things like that. And they were just, the people in the car were like, how's it not jerking the wheel out of your hands, landing on one tire, and it's just comes out of it no problem.
Again, Holden, talking about UTV fails, you see so many people that they land in four-wheel drive on one tire and they still have their foot on the gas and it jerks the car and then it tips it over, rolls it like a top, right?
Yeah.
So when you guys have it, like if you were on the front end and you're in four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive, does it move like that, or does it get that head shake, or does it kind of just pull through?
No, it really it's just a lot stable and just pulls it back down. You can feel it front end just go back down.
That's cool, man. I really, really think that it's going to be cool. Do you have any ability for people to test the system?
Yeah, go on our website and you can actually request to do a test drive, test our four-seater and go out and we want to set up test days for people to be.
Hey, Alfonso, can you sign me up on the website real quick so I can test it when we get done with the show today? Perfect. Yeah, that'll be perfect, man.
So yeah, I mean, definitely. I know that's the biggest selling point is for people to be able to feel it. Like we went out testing with Dave Tungett, that he does a lot of suspension testing, a lot of cars, and when he came back, he's just laughing. He's like, I can't believe the stuff I'm doing with this thing. I'm hitting the gnarliest stuff, and it's there's no feedback at all to the steering. This is crazy. And then he actually did that whole torque steer test that you're talking about. We cranked the wheel over. He took his hand off the wheel, stabbed it. The car just stayed in that turn. It didn't want to go like straighten the car out.
Yeah, it didn't want to right itself.
Like it does a little bit. Like it starts to straighten out because the caster wants to straighten the car out, but it doesn't torque the car over to one side.
Dude, it's just so amazing for me to hear that. There's so many times that I'm thinking in my head about racing environments. Like, first of all, the Yamaha YXZ is not set up for desert. It's just like it's a shorter course car, right? But there's in the racing environment, I would have benefited so many times. And we took it to like the UTV World Championship, and there was so many times where like I was pinned like full throttle, and the whole car was rocking all over the place. Like I was so scared that we were going to lose it, but you can't slow down, right? Yeah. And then this last year, I got to drive an RS1 at the UTV World Championships, and that car's totally different, right? It's set up way better for the desert racing and stuff, but it still has a tendency to dance around. Yeah. So if you can calm that down by changing the front end and not having to mess with the back end, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, and that's the same thing Holden, he was saying, like, we didn't even know it was in two-wheel drive because it doesn't handle that different. It's
I mean, crazy
you
for
feel
me to
the
think
power
about.
Out of the gate that's different. You're like, whoa, now I have power out of the gate. But as far as how it handles, it's pretty much the same. And the same thing, Mitch Guthrie, when we first went testing, he was doing this rock climbing deal, and he's like, am I in two-wheel drive or am I in four-wheel drive? I can't tell. And I'm like, well, switch it back and forth. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I was in four-wheel drive, I'm climbing. But he's like, I don't feel that torque steer that I feel with the car normally. So,
it's trying to pull all over your hand. That's crazy. Like I've said it like already 20 times on the show. I cannot wait to test it, man. It'd be so cool to be able to get an understanding for it. Okay, so we can go to at XTravel_suspension online on Instagram and check it out. You guys make sure you follow them because they'll have all kinds of product updates and things like that. And what was the website again?
XTravelSuspension.com.
Okay, go check them out. And then if you want any real-world stuff, like I said, slide into Holden's DMs, Holden.912, and go over there and check them out. And obviously Mitch Guthrie can give you some good advice, and also Doug Mittag. Obviously, you want to thank the people that are supporting you now too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to thank Holden and Kevin, and I mean Tanner, everybody that's making this car look good. Mitch Guthrie Jr. Like all these racers that are really helping me out. I mean, they're stepping up to make this industry like you were talking about earlier, how it's a family.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate all these people helping me and getting it out there and showing it, because this is it's strange. You know, you look at it, people are like, the first thing's like, it'll never work. It'll never work. And when you have good ambassadors to come out there and help promote it and show, no, look guys, this is legit. This is a real thing. Well, I mean, that makes all the difference in the world.
You're a very humble guy, and so is Holden, but you got to understand, like, the adverse of that too is anytime a new product comes to market, everybody's trying to get into those guys' hands, right? So for those guys to be able to adopt you and welcome you with open arms, they have to have a lot of faith, and they also have to believe in the engineering, right? Because there's a million people that want to sell products and want to give it to these guys, right? But you have to really be able to give yourself a pat on the back and know that these people trust you.
Yeah.
It's really cool to have that. Like you said, in the off-road community, you got to be appreciative of that big time.
Yeah, and I want to thank James and John. I mean, James has done an amazing job bringing XTravel. Where it's funny because we were out at King and Hammered, and Sarah Price comes up and she's like, "Who are you guys?"
Yeah,
like, I don't know. You guys didn't exist.
Yeah,
so long ago,
yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like that's all everybody's talking about. And so James has done an amazing job just marketing and getting everybody like out there, you know, seeing the product. It's really it's been great.
And to get that type of I don't know, reaction on social media is twofold, right? Like it's getting people to understand the product, like what you're doing now on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee we're going to get a million questions this week, so I'm going to probably just be forwarding them all to you. But it'll be cool to see, and I'm glad that you're able to offer it for those couple vehicles at least, because now we have an offering for some of our enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I don't know, you want to talk anything else with the suspension, or you want to go like do some rapid fire stuff?
Let's do some rapid fire stuff. Yeah.
You want to do some rapid fire too, Nestor?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, well, first of all, thank you very much. I really appreciate James coming on and being on board to get you guys on the show so quickly. It was really cool. We had a lot of people that were interested in this, and I hope this helped answer some of the questions that people had. You can always go to, like I said, XTravel_suspension. We're going to post some stuff. You can look at our social media and check it out and get a link over to their page as well. All right. Rapid fire Q&A.
Is he going first?
How about let's Holden go first?
Yeah.
I feel like he's a fast guy to answer these questions.
Yeah, he's faster than I am.
Oh, yeah, so you get the question in. Okay, I got you. All right, Holden, ready? Hard shell or soft shell tacos?
Soft shell.
You going soft shell?
Yep.
What's your favorite taco down in Baja? Have you ever had one?
No, I haven't. I haven't been down to Baja.
All right, I'm going to suggest El Pastor at El Poblano.
All right.
Dude, those are the good ones. All right, Nestor, what's yours? Hard shell or soft shell?
Soft.
You're going soft, too?
Yeah.
What's your favorite taco shop here in Southern California?
Oh, man.
Or in the Inland Empire?
Aztec Tacos.
Aztec? I've been over there, too.
Yeah,
all right, dunes or the river?
Dunes.
You going dunes?
Yeah.
How about you? You're going dunes as well?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Off-road guys. We're keeping it strong for the even though it's hot as heck out here.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I bet your answer was different after getting off of the DB4 rate. You're probably like, get me in the river, please.
Oh, yeah. I need to cool down.
You and Tanner getting out of the car like, come on, give me a pool. Have you ever seen the dirt bike guys? They jump in an ice bath after the motos.
Yeah, they've seen that. Yeah.
Well, you got to tell your dad to get you an ice bath then. What the heck? He's slacking, dude.
Come on.
Ooh, this one's going to be a real good one for this guy right here. Three-wheeler or quad?
Quad. Yeah.
Three-wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going Death
I'm
Machine?
going three-wheeler, yeah.
All right. Do you guys follow motocross? I know you kind of said you didn't.
Yeah, Roxon.
Okay. Ferrandis or Roxon? So you're picking Roxon?
Roxon.
You're going Roxon too?
Roxon.
I know. My mom loves the Frenchie for some reason. I don't know what the heck is, dude. What if you had to pick Cincerillo or Roxon?
No, I think Roxon.
You're going
Oh,
Roxon still?
Cincerillo.
You're going Cincerillo? Yeah. He's got the long and lanky attire just like you do, huh? All All right, let's see here. Pizza rolls or jalapeno poppers?
Pizza rolls.
Jalapeno
Pizza.
poppers.
Dude, I'm right there with Nestor.
Yeah.
I'm going poppers, too, because both of them will burn the shit out of your mouth anyway. So, let's see here. Favorite movie?
Talladega Nights.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on
Aviator.
fire. Aviator?
Yeah.
That's a good one, too, man. So I was told that I should answer this question myself as well. Because people always think, oh, he's going to say Step Brothers or something. But I have actually 3 favorite movies. The first one is Beautiful Mind.
That's a great movie.
The second is Requiem for a Dream.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is Butterfly Effect.
Butterfly.
So those are my top 3. Okay. Yeah. I love those movies. Have you seen Butterfly Effect?
No.
I feel like it would be like a total mindfuck for you. You'd love it because it talks about every single decision in life has an adverse reaction.
Okay.
So every single time they go through his life 3 different times, and he picks one thing different in the same day at the same time, and all of it turns out different.
Wow.
It's freaking crazy, man. So Butterfly Effect. I'm not getting any money for that. Road bike or mountain bike?
Mountain bike.
Mountain bike?
Yeah.
Mountain bike.
Have you guys tried the e-assist ones?
No.
No, I haven't. They
Dude,
look cool though.
Dude, it's so sick. For me, it's a great equalizer because my legs don't work that good, but I got an intense taser. Dude, it's so sick. Like, I went out to Vail Lake. I climbed that big-ass hill, went all the way around. It was so sweet, man.
Yeah.
Those things are cool. What, do you have a mountain bike?
Yeah, I have a mountain bike.
What kind?
Giant.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you get to rip it all the time or not really?
Not really. I'm usually busy racing, so.
Do you know any of the trails around here on mountain bikes?
Yeah.
You really?
Vail Lake, yeah.
Dude, we got to hit it, man.
Yeah.
You guys got to show me the ropes. Let's see here. Next one. Ooh, Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper?
Mountain Dew.
Dr. Pepper.
He has to say Mountain Dew. His favorite movie is Talladega Nights. Let's see here. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? Holden, what's yours, buddy?
Probably to fly. I like to fly. That'd be cool.
That would be pretty sick,
Yeah.
right? And then plus you could win races like super easy if you could fly,
Yeah,
right?
just fly to the finish line. Yeah.
How about you, Nestor? What's your superpower?
I think what we were talking about. I think unlimited creation of 10-millimeter sockets. I think that would be amazing.
Dude, that's the best answer I've heard from the whole entire show, dude. So the guys at you can see this toolbox behind us, the Boxo Tool guys, they actually did a giveaway for the Dirt Life show. And one of the guys, there was a toolkit, you could get the whole toolkit, but one of the guys got a replacement 10-millimeter bag. So all of it was 10 millimeters.
Yep.
3/8, half-inch, quarter-inch. It was so cool, man. So that's a funny one. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
You on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
What channels do you watch? The
Just
Dirt
watch-
Life show, yep.
Of course, yep. Dirt Life show. I just watch a bunch of like Bryce Menzies, like race recaps and stuff like that.
Dude, Chase on Collection's doing some good edits, huh?
Definitely good, yeah.
What about you, Nestor?
Netflix.
Go on Netflix?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that you watch F1, what did Drive to Survive?
Yeah, that's a good one.
God, that one's so good. What do you watch on Netflix?
I watch a lot of documentaries.
Dude,
stuff.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting into all these mine documentaries
Yeah.
and stuff lately. Let's see here. What other form of racing would you guys like to try?
Probably motocross. I like dirt bikes.
You're going moto? Like, if you're going into moto, are you going supercross? Are you going motocross? Are you going full 450? Like, where are you at?
I'm going like probably 250 outdoors. Motocross.
250 outdoors? Do you think you could hang with Hampshire? Dude, he's a wild man.
I don't know. He's pretty fast, man.
Dude,
Run
he's
for
just
his
like,
money.
he's locked on that throttle,
Yeah,
dude. He
for
doesn't
sure.
care if he falls down, nothing. All right, Nestor, how about you?
F1.
You going F1?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about F1? Because everybody asks me the same question. And F1, to me, I would love to try it, but I would love to also sit behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what's your favorite thing?
I'm the telemetry and logistic, like
Oh, really?
the design. Yeah, like figuring out just geeking out on all the actual design work that goes into these cars. I mean, that's crazy.
I can
Stuff
only
they do.
imagine, like, if you got the opportunity to sit in an F1 garage for a race, like, how much information would get downloaded into your head.
Yeah, I would love that.
Dude, that would be super cool. And then you could bring it all back to UTVs.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, we got to get you a
Cross it
ticket to the
over.
next F1 race.
Yeah.
Or even the IndyCar or something.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be super cool. Let's see here. Hot dog or hamburger?
Hamburger for sure.
You going? Both of you guys are going hamburger?
Yep.
Okay, good. Ooh, this one's a good one. And actually, they said this on the supercross or motocross races. Who's your celebrity crush?
I don't really think I have one. No.
That's so weak, dude. You got to have somebody.
There's no one I really think of.
Just pick a random one then.
I don't know. What about you, Nestor?
I'm gonna get in trouble with the wife saying something But
All right, wife is number one. Who's your second celebrity crush then?
Oh.
I knew this was going to be a hot topic.
Yeah,
I'd
this
figure
is
out how
tough.
to use. Who's your wife's celebrity crush?
Oh man. It used to. Well, I think Pink.
Oh,
Actually,
was
yeah,
it?
Both of us. We're gonna pick Pink.
Nice, dude. That's actually a good one too, because
Yeah.
she's solid, man.
Yeah.
So you know how she proposed to her husband Kerry, right? On a pit board at Mammoth Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's rad, dude. All right, final question of the night. This is the most profiling question that you're ever gonna get: chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
French fries.
Really?
Yeah, French fries.
Yeah, chips and guacamole.
Chips and
for sure.
guacamole 24/7, right? What if it was French fries and ranch? Would you pick chips and guac?
Yeah, chips and guac.
You
Over
chip-
French fries and ranch.
Oh,
for sure.
okay. You're that guy, right? Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys going through all that rapid fire. That was pretty fun. But you guys did a fantastic job tonight. I think everybody that's watching the show, I really think that it would be cool if you guys go and follow the XTravel guys. We have started following them and understanding what they're doing. Like Nestor said, it's been a really quick growth spurt for them. Everybody's wondering how things go. So they're putting out a lot more I don't want to instructional kind of stuff where you can understand how things work
Yeah.
more on social media. You know what? Why don't we show this before we log off? You guys won't see it on Instagram Live, but this is a video. Nestor can actually explain a little bit of it, of the pivot system working. So you can see the middle swivel as well.
Yeah, so you're watching everything kind of move back and forth, but what's actually happening is it's taking those points and moving them to where the tire would be.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it's really deceptive. You can see it as it looks like the caster camber is changing, but it's actually not. So,
It's pretty cool to be able to see that because it's really, really descriptive as to see what's happening with your hands in the steering wheel. So go ahead and check it out. Like I said, follow them on Instagram. Go ahead and check out their website. Slide into our DMs if you have questions. We'll forward it over to those guys. Next week, we got an awesome show lined up for you guys. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us. You guys, like I said, are our lifeblood. Visit that sponsor deals page on the Dirt Life Show because you can save a whole bunch of money with all of our partners, man. And it'll be really cool to support them and obviously save on your pocketbook. The guys over at Shock Therapy, the guys over at Zollinger Racing, Solder Weld, the KMC guys and the EFX guys are working on stuff for us. The guys at Cryo Heat, just please support the guys that support us because that makes us be able to bring you fantastic content like with Nestor, Holden, and all the guys that joined us today. So, like I said, we owe each and every one of you guys a big, big hug. Anytime I can see you guys shake your hand, I will always try to do my best. Next week's show, we got it's going to be awesome, man. We're going to go to the 4 Wheel Parts in Riverside, and we got approval to have an audience now.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be pretty cool. We have our featured guest is going to be Travis Lee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's a youth racer and a 4 Wheel Parts and Polaris Razor athlete. And my buddy Jesse Nelson is going to come on and co-host with me. He's a professional, ex-professional Supercross racer, and now he's a Polaris factory driver as well. Nice. I'm going to tell him, probably message him a little bit later about the new XTravel stuff because him being able to only use his arms in the vehicle and not his legs, he has a lot of control issues, so it'd be really cool for him to be able to have less feedback in the wheel.
For sure.
So I think it would be a good partnership for you guys to have. So join us next week at the 4 Wheel Parts in Riverside. If you guys have the wherewithal to get down there, come hang out. This Thursday, we're going to talk with Justin from Shock Therapy, talking about shocks and suspension and everything. We're going to kind of get an update from him and see how he's been doing. What kind of racing they have in the future. I know they're going to do Vegas to Reno, so that'll be cool. Thank you very much to all the guys, James, John, David, everybody, Butch, here at IMG for letting us hang out at the shop today. We really appreciate Alfonso being able to help set up the studio, get everything going. I don't know if you guys know or can see it, but the visuals are a lot better today. They're all lit up and nice, so thanks very much to him for getting all that set up. Hopefully he can help out in the future as well. Like I said, we really want to thank all you guys. You guys are our lifeblood, man, so please keep sliding into our DMs. Download as much as you can. Rate us on iTunes. Do all that crap that everybody always talks about because we really love the support that you guys are giving us. You guys are making it a lot better for us to get more sponsors and keep the show going. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. You got any shouts-outs before we leave, boys?
Just big shout out to XTravel, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Innovators, man.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of innovating the UTV market, so we can't wait to see what comes out. So thank you very
Awesome.
much, Nestor, for coming. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, we really appreciate it. Oh, wait, we got one more comment that came in. Cabinet Outsource says, Nestor, check out the 4-seat Razor Desert Racing car in the IMG shop. What will it take to get XTravel on that car? So, all right, why don't you reach out to them in the DMs and maybe send a personal message so you can actually answer the personal message.
Yeah.
And we'll go check out that car in just a little bit here. So thank you guys very much for joining us. You guys are awesome. We love you. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.